All right. We are live with Retro Arcadia. I don't know where I came up with that. I just say that now. So we're gonna. I got the banner here. This is a banner that shows OJ Simpson and Metal Gear from the MSX. That was 1987, isn't that right? Is that when Metal Gear came out? 1987.
I, I believe it could be off a year or like before or after, but I said 87 over and over again. I believe I'm correct on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Snake Plissken, he's from Escape from New York. You can see him in the upper left-hand corner. He's got an eye patch on. He is the inspiration for Solid Snake, I believe. At least later on, maybe. He might not be right now, but he definitely
Probably with the
is
name
later.
though, right? He definitely has the bandana and like the name Snake in Metal Gear. So
That's true, but isn't his name Snake Plissken in the Escape from New York movie?
yes, so it's not the same name, but I don't think he's not the same character, right? So he's just
Right.
inspired. So I
Yeah.
think he just called him, and then he called him Snake Plissken in one of the other games, right? You would know this. For like a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes by Plissken later. Yeah,
Or
so
Pliskin, yeah.
he's definitely
Pliskin.
Iroquois Plissken, who is a
Yeah,
separate
that's what it
character.
was.
Actually, he's not a snake.
That's right. That's totally right.
Right.
I think is that 4? Is that Metal Gear Solid
That's
4?
2. That's Metal Gear Solid 2.
That's 2. So I played a second of that. I guess I have played like up till the first Raiden boss in Metal Gear Solid 2. That's like my limited experience with Metal Gear so far. I played
I
all
love
of Metal Gear
Solid
4. And 2, I did like it. There's a reason. My friend Emilio, who you've met on several occasions, my first experience with Metal Gear Solid 2, because we talk about ourselves a little bit here, was I have a he let me borrow it. He brought it to school. I was in 8th grade. I live with my dad. I came home. We'll talk about my dad eventually if we get to Xenosaga 3, more than likely. And we will. But I live with my dad. It's a good couple years of memories in my life. And I remember I had this room that was really big downstairs, and I had a recliner. And I came home, and for like 2 days I played Metal Gear Solid 2 until it got too hard, and I put it down. And maybe we'll reference this when we get to the Xeno 3 article, because I talk about my habit, right, to put games down when I was little because they were too hard. And MGS2 was one of those, but I did like it. And I played it again at like 18 a little bit. And yeah, anyway, continue with the image. It's awesome. You did a great job.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was good. I appreciate the context.
Yeah.
That's the image, and I mean we have OJ there, and that's several years later, 1994. OJ is trying on the gloves, and they don't fit, so they must acquit, is what I believe Cochran said, and I guess he was known for doing rhymes or something. That's what his Wikipedia says, but literally that's the only rhyme I've seen from him. So he's known for one rhyme in the courtroom, and now he's known as the rhymer after one rhyme. So
Wish I had my pen. That's so like that. One of the criticisms that we'll talk about later of Cochrane, by Vincent Bugliosi, who I mentioned in the essay, was that the perception of Cochrane being this goated lawyer is not like the case, right? He's good that he won it, but like he wasn't like a good lawyer. He was just so as far as much as like a good lawyer is like logical and like good with the case. Like he was theatrical, but he also wasn't just rhyming all the time. But like the public at large, like the layman, was like, isn't he so great with that glove? Like with the you must have quit with the rhyming. It's like he did it once. He did it once, and it wasn't even that good. It's really unprofessional,
well,
and
that's the
kind of like
thing. Yeah,
insulting.
I mean that's
Yeah,
the
he
thing
could go
about
on. That's
like.
great.
No, I think that's just the thing. Like they, what the defense was saying, or no, the prosecution was saying that he wasn't a very good lawyer, but obviously he was better than they were in this situation. So,
Well, he got results, but the public thought that he was like a good lawyer in the way that an actual like someone that actually could, because he got OJ off and really, yes, he did his lawyer job, but like he really kind of got. I mean, some people think that like the worst part wasn't so much even the prosecution, but it's the judge, right? The judge should have shut Cochran down. So I'm getting way too much. We're going to talk about this.
yeah,
I don't want to ruin too much
that's
or
fine.
stall too
Okay,
much in the
yeah,
beginning.
that's good. We got questions on that, so we'll
Yeah.
get into it. So I have a few questions, and this is about your essay that you wrote titled where is it? Hold on. The People of the State of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, Metal Gear COPES, Every Land. So this is what we're going to be covering today, kind of, and I'll just jump into it. I got like a series of questions for you. I'm going to ask you those questions, and you're going to answer the questions. for the sake of Retro Arcadia. Now, introduction. So at some point in this, you talk about how you played Metal Gear, and that was with the Retroid Pocket. And I'm not adverse to playing games on handhelds, cheap Chinese handheld devices either. But you had said that you had trouble getting it set up on the Retroid Pocket. You go on about the Retroid Pocket, about needing to have a game to play for it. So what made you decide on Metal Gear?
Okay, so cheap Chinese handhelds. I just want to plug the Retroid. So far, so good. The Retroid branded cable that I bought, it's still like kind of like Chinese made garbage. No offense to the Chinese. I don't know if that's racist or not, but like it's made in China, but it's not like cultural. It's not racial. Like that's just it's geographical, right? But the device itself has been awesome. It feels good. It plays pretty well. It's fairly easy to set up, and it uses Android as well, which is I was kind of hesitant about. But that offers some more functionality with like some Android-based just games themselves, right? If I want to play like the Android version of Grand Theft Auto Vice City, that'll work native and work like perfectly on it. But anyway,
That's
why
cool.
Metal Gear? I'll tell you exactly why, and I think you'll like this. Back after Xenosaga 3, I came up with the idea to go through the Metal Gear Solid games because we have such a low like viewership. I kind of want to like I want to give you something you would really enjoy, right? Because you might never play Xenosaga and you've played Metal Gear, so you could agree or disagree with what I had to say like pretty strongly if I wrote those. So that was the plan. However, Final Fantasy 16 came out. Oh, and I got experience with the games before, so I do like. I've played in GS4, and I've always wanted to get through them. But yeah, that was a new something to read. But then FF16 came out, and I chose that for kind of the same reason. I was like, he might not play this one, maybe he will, but he's a FF fan at heart, so I know that my best friend will enjoy or appreciate me writing about that more than this kind of like niche game that I know he's interested in, like Xenosaga, but maybe not interested in playing, right? Maybe interested in knowing about. So that was why Metal Gear over Metal Gear Solid. I really can't remember when I decided to come back. I think I was thinking about I think somehow I just looked up the NES, and then when I found out that the MSX one was different than the NES, I was like, that is kind of interesting, and maybe it would be neat to challenge myself to like play, I thought like really cool, right? Oh, you played Metal Gear on NES, or you played the translated MSX version on on Subsistence or on some of the other like collections. I was like, oh, I emulated the MSX, and did the fan translated copy. Like that was just kind of really cool, interesting, something to talk about, right? The title of one of the chapters from Xenosaga 2, something to talk about. I always like to find, now that we're writing, well, you're probably doing this too, right? I think like, how can I use this information? Where can I find more things to inspire me and give me, quote unquote, something to write about? And it did. I think in the end, it did give me something to write about.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, I've been doing that with writing recently. Is if I'm writing an article or I'm taking notes and planning to write an article on a video game, I will try to incorporate the stuff that I was doing at the time of playing the game. So that in your case, I would include messing around with the Retroid Pocket to set up the game. Right, that's a pivotal experience that you had while you were trying to play the game.
And then it paralleled, right? It paralleled the experience of the game, right? And I'm probably a little like liberal with the comparison, right? A lot I am, but yeah, I mean, it ended up being just something really, really cool to talk about.
Yeah. And you mentioned here that the controls are really hard to configure. I'm trying to find it in the essay, but I can't find it.
It's above the picture with me in it.
So from what I understand, the MSX, it has a keyboard. I mean, here it is. It has a keyboard that you use for the controller.
For the picture, leave the picture up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with the keyboard, you had to actually configure it to the handheld buttons, which were pretty standard front-facing and D-pad stuff, right? And
okay, so this is good, and this will come up thematically. I think I'm impatient. I'm an impatient person sometimes because I have limited time. I got a kid, all this other stuff. So like. Yeah. A lot of times when I'm like, I'm gonna have to figure this out, and figuring it out is not playing a computer game. Like I don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
slowing down and like plugging those in, like let me actually look at that. You notice you're good about this. Actually, you will buy a new game and look at the menus. I usually hit new game first and never go to
Mm-hmm.
the menus until I get stuck. And that's a bad habit of mine and a source of frustration. So this one, and this is about the game. Even I had to stop. I had to be like, what already? So to give the viewers an idea of what was going on here, it was that the controls are set for like a regular PlayStation controller type thing. 4 face buttons, the D-pad, some analog sticks, and the MSX is like a Commodore 64. It's a keyboard. So I had to go in and change the layout to keyboard and scroll down these long lists that had every button on your standard 72 key or whatever keyboard, and like find the W. If you look in the back of the picture, you can see all the keys are basically there: up, down, left, right,
Mm-hmm.
A or M or N was one, S, enter, space bar, I think, and then like F1 through 5. So I mapped those to the face keys, and I kind of had to, like Kojima like thinks about the placement, so maybe he thought that the placement on the keyboard would echo like playing the game. Maybe I don't know. That's something I should try. But I had to also think, okay, is this going to work like while I play this and make the controls easy on me? So this was a lot of thinking. The first 2 hours of playing Metal Gear, I didn't make it past the retro arc menu, and I think I was still playing Metal Gear, like even in a cool way. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that. That's the control problems, and that was a lot of fun. I learned to enjoy all that pain because it was. If you read that chapter, it is problem after problem. Like even
Yeah.
once I get into the game,
Exactly.
it's copying BIOS and crap. Like I downloaded it on Windows and I put the BIOS into like the Android folders on the RetroArch. It's plugged in, so it's all this like. Oh man, and with Metal Gear Solid, which I'm playing now, I had to leave the room. You and I talked about this. I don't want to derail, but like it felt like that. Like I had to do these extra steps in real life
Mm-hmm.
to play the game, and it was also playing the game. So yeah,
Yeah, and
thank
then
you.
once you're done with all that and you're actually playing the game, um, you've successfully defeated the control scheme boss. Feels good to actually start playing
Yeah,
for real. So
yeah.
this article is primarily about OJ Simpson and his murder trial. So what gave you the idea to even compare the original Metal Gear with the OJ Simpson murder trial? Like that was surprising to me why you even made that comparison. So yeah, if you could explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you the odd like train of thought. And so it's sports. I'm glad you liked it. I feel like you got it. You understood the essay. I think you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than I thought it was. We'll talk about it at the very end. I've seen all the questions beforehand. But so when I was thinking about what I would write about, one thing I noticed was that okay, the game was made in 1987, but it takes place in 1995, and all the Metal Gear games are kind of like that at first. Like they're like 5 or 10 years in the future until you get to Metal Gear Solid 3 that takes place like way in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I love 90s aesthetic. So we make these really cool images for our articles. And I was like, one of my first notes is like use a 1995 aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your images are going to be. And that's going to be kind of a cool, I wanted to be a little minimalistic, but like really like, I don't know, thematic. And so 90s nostalgia was one of the themes. And all the pictures are from advertisements from 1995, except for the Yu-Gi-Oh one. Every other one, and the title card, I guess. So I was like, well, how else could I use 95? So in my research, I went to the Wikipedia page. I was like, what happened in 1995? And when I saw it was OJ, weird coincidence, I've read a whole book about the OJ trial. So I do know a pretty good amount about it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to pocket that mentally
Yeah,
and maybe
maybe
just for
use
an
it.
image or
Yep.
something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And then
But then you
as
base the whole
it
thing around
started
it.
to
Yeah.
develop, I was like, okay, this, and then I thought it would surprise you. I'm glad you said you were surprised. I was like, he's gonna see the title and he's gonna be like, what the f? Like, that's really strange. And I was like, I think it's really strange. And I don't even at the point a lot of times writing it, I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. But I tried it and it came out okay. Yeah.
No,
So
I
that's
mean
how
it
I
was a
came up with
great
the
idea.
idea.
I thought it was a great idea. It was
Thank you.
fun to read. So yeah, that explains that. And I guess basically what you're saying is that you looked up what happened in 1995 and picked something out of the list you found on Google. So I do that too with some of my articles. Like I can't remember which one, but a few of my articles start with like, oh, in the year blah 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 blah, because the game came out that year. So it's easy to start like an essay with like, oh, 1995. this was going on, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
I've never based the entire essay just on one random thing. I would like keep it in like the introduction essay part, and like loop it in to set the mood or whatever. So I thought it was cool that you used it throughout the whole thing. So I guess next we can get into the game. So tell me, what is the overall plot of this game, and no more than three sentences, please.
Okay, so not counting sentences yet, I'm going to tell you the plot based only on Metal Gear. I'm not going to bring in anything I've learned. I'm playing Metal Gear Solid right now.
Yeah, it's just Metal Gear.
Anything I know from PS4. Just on Metal Gear. I'm going to forget a lot of the side characters' names and stuff, and it sucks. But, like, essentially, starting now, 3 sentences. One, there is a terrorist organization in South Africa, called Outer Heaven.
Yep.
I don't need the comma. Called Outer Heaven, that Snake is being sent to by his boss, Big Boss. Snake is a member of Foxhound, and he's going to dismantle the organ. Or no, he's not. He's supposed to save Gray Fox. Gray Fox went first. He's experienced. He got caught, so Big Boss sends in the rookie Solid Snake in order to rescue Gray Fox and figure out what's going on in Outer Heaven. So that's the basic gist.
Gotcha. Cool. I think that's... You used a lot of comments.
Did I say the ending or something? Should I know? I don't. The 3 sentence thing is hard because I don't think or talk in sentences. But like, I should have written it like first because I knew that question was coming.
Yeah, let's go for the ending. Let's just spoil the entire ending.
So yeah, the ending is that the whole idea is that Big Boss was manipulating Solid Snake, and it's really cool. I don't even know if I had told you, but this is not in the article, so this is why we have the videos. I should have mentioned this. At the very end, as you're approaching Metal Gear and as you're approaching the last fight with Big Boss, maybe we'll see it tonight. Probably not. This video is probably 3 or 4 hours long, I imagine. Mm-hmm. But Big Boss says, like, you go into one room of the third. As soon as you enter the third building, it's hell to get in there. As soon as you enter the third building, Big Boss, you get a call on the transceiver, and he goes, go into the left room immediately. So you dodge the enemies, you go into the left room, and there's enemies just in there. They're shooting. And so I was like, when I played it, I only looked up things. I only got like really stuck for like annoyingly so like twice. Like I played it like legitimately. I tried to be Solid Snake. I became him at the end. But, like, I was like, okay, that's not the right way to go. Maybe I didn't remember what he said. Like, maybe he said the right door, So, and then the next room, a similar thing, I can't remember what that happened. I was like, okay, he's lying now.
Yeah, he's, like, tricking you throughout the game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then after that, and we'll talk about this later, I think it's in the question. Later, he says, turn off the MSX. Yeah. And I was like, okay. He should have said turn off the Retroid, so I wasn't tricked, right? I knew he wasn't. He didn't know me.
Something's
I was
up.
not like scared. I was like this because like maybe if I was a little kid and I had the MSX, maybe I'd be like, what the F? Like maybe he knows that I'm playing. Maybe he's real. But no. So he does that, and then basically the next couple of hard screens, you get through those, and then you fight Metal Gear, and that's on the screen now. Like the right hand, that's the final boss of Metal Gear. That's Metal Gear there. That's Solid Snake. That's from my image, I believe, of it. I took all the screenshots from the Retro Arc. One thing cool about the Retroid is that the Retroid, and probably a lot of those devices can do this. I want to plug the Retroid real quick. I could airdrop, basically. I hate using Apple names, coin names, but airdrop, the viewers will know more. But you can Bluetooth share the images like to my phone, and I could send them to I either plug my phone in, or I could just straight up like drop them into Discord from my phone if I wanted to show you something or me. Like that's kind of cool. So yeah. It's a good device.
Gotcha. All right, now next, I want you to describe the core gameplay loop of Metal Gear in 3 sentences.
Yeah, it's if you've ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, right? You can imagine. I'm looking at the screen now. I'm going to be probably a minute behind on the gameplay, but like Snake here, I can see him. You got to dodge these enemies. You collect key cards. There's a lot of back and forth. Like I forget the gaming industry term for it, but like it's like Zelda. It's like a Metroidvania in that like there's a door in the first few screens that you need card key level 3. If you've played Metal Gear Solid, yeah, it's like a Metal Gear Solid demake. If Metal Gear Solid was actually made first, it's really perfection in that regard. This is one of my Out of all the games I reviewed, this is the best one, like traditionally that I've reviewed. Like Xenosaga's got a lot of problems, although it's really cool. FF16 is well polished and easy to play, but this is a good computer game. It's on a computer type system. You collect cards, you get things that make your life easier. And feel free to stop me because I've forgotten some of the questions. So don't let me like steal another question's content. But like, there's a lot to talk about. Like the enemies, if they see you, you go on alerts. There's a couple stages of alerts. The worst one, they'll follow you from screen to screen. At first, you have nothing but a punch. So do you Metal Gear Solid? But I got to stop talking about that because that might be content for the next essay. But like you have nothing but a punch and a pack of cigarettes when you start, and then you get a cardboard box like a little bit later. You get a gun, but the gun's loud, right? And so if you use the gun, like enemies come running, so you really can't use it that often. Then you get a silencer. So like these early screens that were like hard as hell at first are like crazy easy. The things that were like annoying at first that you had to force yourself to be patient through, you don't have to be as patient now because now I just saw him for a second. He had the cardboard box. Like the screen with the 3 cameras, that's hard as fuck without a cardboard box. That's almost impossible without. I remember that screen because I spent an hour on that screen going back and forth. Like I didn't look up how to do it. I've had to figure it out. And that was so cool. So the gameplay loop, you go around getting card keys. There's 3 buildings. You go back and forth, getting progressively like more items, like a lot more than a punch, that allow you to literally just shred this terrorist organization. To at the end of the game, Big Boss is not even talking to Solid Snake. Big Boss is talking to me, motherfucker. And Big Boss is like, you need to turn this off right now. So that's the gameplay.
He didn't expect you to steal all the weapons. He didn't expect you to steal all the weapons in the building and then use them all against him. He's like, oh shit, I didn't think this guy was smart. Yeah.
Yep. I gotta pray to God right now. Like God needs to. I need to say that he needs to turn off. He won't go in the right rooms. He's going rogue, and he's dismantling my whole operation. And at the end, he kills him. He kills Big Boss. So it's good.
Yeah.
The loop, so you find items. Yes. You go back and open old doors to get even more items, to get even more powerful, to save even more prisoners. That's something I should mention, right? You get more health, and you can hold more rations and crap. If you rescue prisoners, every 5 prisoners your rank goes up and your health goes up and your ration and your bullet capacity, all that goes up. And you can shoot prisoners. I shot a couple. I did cheat actually because I didn't want to restart the game. I inputted a Commodore. I should have talked about this. I inputted a Commodore 64, not Commodore, but a MSX2 code, which is like with the keyboard. So I had to get into the controller files again to artificially give me one star because I had locked myself out of it. So like I'm sorry, computer games family, but I
shouldn't have admitted that.
I didn't feel like that was. I didn't feel like I was cheating. I didn't know when I pressed A, like the button to talk to the prisoners is the shoot button, and I didn't know I had to de-equip the freaking gun. I didn't even know I killed them.
There's so many keys on the keyboard, yet the button to talk to prisoners is the shoot button. Yeah, that's so funny.
That's a good. I didn't realize that. That's funny. Man, you should play it and write an essay on it. That's really funny. I didn't notice that. But like, yeah, that's a good criticism because the console. That would have been a good little mini chapter, right? With a picture of that Commodore 64, right? Like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, is that good? Is that good with that question? I can't remember. I'm lost.
I'm lost as well. Awesome. You said in a part in your essay that let's see. I am too impatient. I am too impatient for stealth. That's what you said. So why do you think that is? Why do you think you're impatient for stealth gameplay?
I'll tell you, and you just so you know, I'd say a little bit later that I was wrong and I didn't understand stealth. That's why it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's a great game. Because it legitimately taught me that like stealth is not waiting around. Stealth is learning, right? Like I hated stealth because like you and I both know we have weird opinions on mental illnesses, but like I do think if I went to a doctor and didn't lie, I think I've probably got one of the big ones that people like to lie and say they have. I won't say the names, right? But you and I both know the names. You have one of them documented, right? I might have that one. I might have one of the other big 3 or 4 of them, but who cares? It's not a crutch. I don't need sympathy. I'm a capable man. But anyway, I don't like to wait sometimes, right? Like when I'm sitting there, sometimes when people are talking, I feel like this. Not you, because you're awesome, but like people talking to me, I already know what they're gonna say. So like, why do I have to wait? I get angry, I get impatient, and like so sometimes in Metal Gear games, there's stealth sections, like the stealth section in Wind Waker is one that comes to mind. Um, I'm like, okay, I just waited through like 5 enemies and 5 screens, and I made one little mistake, and now I gotta wait again. Like, I don't like that. And then
Yeah.
what Metal Gear taught me was that okay, that sucks at first. That's pain. One of my early notes was Metal Gear taught me that pain has to be pleasure. You have to, if you want to be happy, you have to convince yourself that because. Yes, at the beginning of Metal Gear, I wasn't having fun when I would get through like 6 enemies and then, okay, I know I have to wait 90 seconds for this. I don't want to wait again. But by enduring that, 5 hours later, I would get a cardboard box, and instead of 90 seconds, that's 30 seconds. And like that's what Solid Snake would have to do if he was literally gonna do this without dying, right? Like if you or me, I would not make a. If I was in Solid Snake, I would have died on the first screen, real life, no redos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
you've
you would have been
got to
done.
just enjoy what you're doing in the moment. No matter, there's a philosopher that says this. I don't. It'll come to me probably tomorrow. But like, the trick of the intellect is like you get to decide what good and bad are, and it's not. I think I mentioned this in the FF16 essay. I guess right. It's like why did I have to trick myself that this game is not something else to enjoy it? It's like I don't have to, right? But if it helps and I get something cool to write about out of it, like why not? You know, and if you don't like it, no one has to read it, you know? So stealth, I was like, okay, I didn't like that. I didn't like how I felt at the beginning, and I'm feeling the same way with Metal Gear Solid right now. But the same achievements are happening. And it's really cool because I'm learning new stuff. I'm getting more music. I'm getting more in this one not so much dialogue, but you're getting like cool abilities and you're a better player. And you learn that video games aren't just like Final Fantasy 16. That's why FF16 exists, right? Because too many people like me got complacent. Um, if people like me would learn to like be better at computer games, we would have better computer games. We'd have way more Metal Gears than we would have Final Fantasy
Mm-hmm.
16. So,
Yeah.
does that answer my impatience problem? I hope I did. Do you think that was good?
Yeah, that makes sense. My next question
Any
was.
questions? Yeah.
No, my next question was. You were gonna. You said you were gonna view the game as slow action. What do you mean by that? But you already answered that question with what you
I
said.
think I did. Yeah. And
Yes.
let me just add a little bit of context to that. So, like, yeah, the way I tricked my brain was I wasn't like, I wasn't thinking, how do I manipulate my mind to be happy? I was like, what do I not get? Because Metal Gear is not a bad game. No one says that, right? Like, there are people that say it's dated, but like, no one says, and Metal Gear Solid is the exact same game. No one says it's a bad game. So I chose
Mm-hmm.
to say, look, the problem's me. The problem is me. I know I have a bad attention span. I know I get angry when I have to wait, when I have to sit through annoying people ranting and raving. Maybe how I make people feel sometimes. So let me just go ahead and say the problem is me. And so let me look at what am I doing wrong. And what I'm doing wrong is that stealth is not boring. I'm not doing anything. What I'm doing is with my body, not with the buttons. Yes, I'm not pressing any buttons. But what I'm doing, and Kojima, I think, knows this. I like Kojima now. I'm a Kojima fan. I don't know if he's like God or like perfect, but like I think I'd like to hang out with him. He seems cool. Um, I'm playing the game by just looking at that screen and listening to that music and getting better, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
stealth is action. I was like really thrilled just to be staring at that and using my mind. And do you ask about the relay? Because I want to mention that. If you don't, I want to mention that about
Yeah,
being
mention it.
still.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's a screen where there's 2 enemies, and it's come up several times. There's 2 guards, tough guards, by a door, and it's an elevator, and you have to go through it, and there's no way around them. And the way I went through it most of the time was just to run to them and hit the door really fast and just ignore them. And I would lose about half my health. I almost die at the beginning of the game. It's like the fourth or fifth screen in the game. Um, but one day I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. And I'm just staring at it, right? And like, I'm thinking, I'm diehard, right? But I don't realize it yet. And I'm looking at it and all of a sudden something happens. Those 2 guards look at each other. This is the MSX game. This is 1987. Those 2 guards look at each other and they say relay and they leave the screen. And all I had to do was freaking walk around and go through the screen. right? And that was like, whoa, I just learned something. And Kojima knew that I would do that. He was hoping that people that want to beat this game will not get lazy and give up, right? People that want to beat this game will look at the screen for at least 45 seconds, and 45 seconds in, they do the relay. People that never figured that out, they were so impatient they couldn't make it 45 seconds. And that was me the first 10 times I crossed that screen, right? Kojima is telling me, he's diagnosing my problems from the past. It's awesome.
I was going to say, so Kojima, I don't know if he calls it this game, this particular term, but in Metal Gear Solid 1, the cover of Metal Gear Solid 1 says Tactical Espionage Action. So I think I've been drinking a little bit, but I think
It's okay.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you say that stealth is action, and I think Kojima had that in his mind.
You're right. That's how I'm looking at it. You're so right. You continue. That's a great point. Everyone pay
No,
attention to him.
No, I was just saying that I think you have it correct, and you understand Kojima's vision for the game is that stealth and waiting around is actually action packed. So one thing I noticed about stealth games, and this is I haven't played this game in like forever. So in games like Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, 5, you
I
like
can hear you. By the way, I'm going off screen for a minute. Real pause. I'm going off screen, so I gotta do something real quick. But I got my AirPods in, so you go.
I was just gonna say, in those games, like when you're prone, laying on the ground, and then you like hide under a table, and you wait for an enemy to walk by, so that you can crawl out from under the table, and then get up behind the enemy and grab them and choke them out or punch them out. There's a level of exhilaration and thrill there that doesn't exist in a game like Final Fantasy 16, where all you do is run into the corridor and start bashing X, square, triangle, and occasionally R2 to do a cool flame move. The action of waiting for the opportune moment to attack and then seizing that moment adds an extra level of thrill, and I can see that in the gameplay in this game as well, where not right now, but early on in the game, Snake was just hiding behind pillars and shit, waiting for enemies to like walk by him and then just punch him out. And that's that kind of gameplay persists throughout all of Metal Gear. I think. One of the things that I don't like later on about Metal Gear, and this is irrelevant, I guess, for this particular game, but a lot of the later Metal Gear games, I think Metal Gear Solid 2, maybe like Substance or whatever, the re-release, or maybe it's in the original one too. They'll give you the option to have like a silenced pistol at the beginning of the game, which like trivializes like literally everything. There's an option not to do it. If you pick like hard mode or whatever, or normal maybe even, you won't get anything. But they always give you a new one that says like, easy or very easy. And easy will give you like a stun gun, and then very easy will give you like a completely like stealthed out like silenced tranquilizer gun. And it's just like, oh, now the game's just super easy.
I'm learning. Because I play MGS on normal, and like it's very hard. It's not hard, but it's like this game. You have to play it the right way. And I like that. I want to add about Kojima that because even within that, like the waiting, you mentioned that the waiting is the action, and that's what I've said, and I'm glad we both feel this way. But like the fourth or fifth time you do that kind of sucks, right? Or it does to me, because I'm like, I've waited here before. I did it right the first time. Like I know.
Right, now I have
so
to
I get
redo
impatient and move on. Now I have to redo it. But Kojima still, he's like, yes. He's a great teacher. He's like, yes, this sucks for you right now. Like you are not worthy of the next screen. So what you have to do is become worthy, make it, and then next screen is the silencer, right? That's where the silencer comes in pretty early in this game, but you have to deal with the gun that even if there's only one enemy on screen, use the gun. If there's enemies on the adjacent screens, they come running because they hear it, right? Another thing that you get, the binoculars in this game, like he puts binoculars in the 2D game. This is like as good as Metal Gear Solid. It's just a 2D version. It lets you see the screens next to you, right? Only one screen away though, like not like two or three, and you can see left, right, up, or down in a very Zelda way. It's a Zelda game. It's a weirdly put together, almost like on top of each other Zelda game. Like it's better than Zelda 1 in that regard. They came out around similar time, so I'm bringing it up. But yeah, so Kojima realized that he's like, okay, they're gonna get tired of waiting. So I want to annoy them because they need to feel the pain. In order to feel the pleasure, right? They need to feel the pain. So I'm going to make them really, really work for it. When they feel like they want to give up, if they can just give it 30 more minutes, here's the cardboard box, here's the silencer, here's the mine detector, right? Here's the better gun, here's the grenade launcher. Like, yeah, and you've played more of these games than I do, and I bet all the other ones do similar shit. It's awesome. It's a good game.
Yeah, and you mentioned
if it don't have a score, yeah. Oh,
you mentioned the gratuitous use of tools, so that makes sense. At one point, you write, "I forgot that the enemy emerges from the truck. The game has showed me this before, and again, this death is all my fault." So I've noticed a lot of games, a lot of good games do this, where they present you a situation, they show it to you, you forget about it, you die. I think Dark Souls is kind of well known. Demon Souls and Dark Souls are well known for this kind of gameplay trickery. But to me, this is a good, this is good. So why do you think this is rewarding to the player? Why do you think it's effective as a gameplay gimmick, quote unquote?
So remind me about Dark Souls at the end of this spiel, because Dark Souls relates to the game another way that I don't think there was a question on. But yeah, the reason is for me at least within the stealth genre. Remember, I'm teaching myself patience. Kojima is telling me a video game is a learning experience, right? A computer game. It's not.
Yes.
You get to press X and look at cool pictures, you lazy person. I'm challenging you. I'm your teacher. You need to be. I'm teaching you ethics. So what was the last few words of the question? I got lost just a second. I got lost for just.
Why do you think that this type of gameplay is rewarding to the player?
I ran into the truck. Yeah. So the truck, there's 3 trucks, and the middle one has something that I could use, ammo. I can't remember exactly, but there's 3 men inside if you just run into it. However, if you wait outside, 1 man will come out, and if you stealth kill that man, there's no one inside. So whenever, even later in the game, this happened throughout the game, and this Kojima teaching me that this is. What do you mean? Where did they go? Oh, the other people, I don't know. I think it's just representative, right? I think only 1 will come out of the truck, and if you kill the one out of the truck, they're not in there. I think it's just because of the limits of the system, right? I don't think it's a big mystery or significant. It's just but if you go in there and you don't kill the man and do the stealth, it's bad. But if you do the stealth, it's good. So, I remember even towards the end of the game, Kojima's teaching me that you don't just learn these lessons and then you're good. You have to continually remember these lessons. So later in the game, that same field, because I'm looking for crap in the very beginning, there's stuff you need at the end. Keycard 7, you get in building 2, right? So you have to go back. And there's a part where I'm rushing because I'm annoyed. And I go through that same place. That's the 6th or 7th screen on the game. And I walk into that building real fast, and they just ice me, and I die, right? And I'm kind of annoyed, and I'm but I'm you know what? I'm not playing the game right if I'm annoyed. Right. The game is not meant to be played just like Final Fantasy 16, where you're kind of thinking about what you're going to have for dinner in Bastion Square. You are inside. We're going to get this later, but I'm becoming Solid Snake. I'm not allowed to think about anything else. I have to remember what trucks have men in them all the time. This is life or death. And we'll get to this in the OJ section. This is coming out nice. I cannot, at all, for a second, go through the screen for the 12th time and just run into there. Or at least if I do that, I can't suck my teeth. I can't be I'm going to put this down. What I have to do is I have to be you know what? That's my fault. And I'm playing a game that a guy, literally, this was his job. He was feeding his family or paying his rent, making this. And he actually did a good job. This man you have on the screen here, this young Joker, looks like he's out of an Outlaw Star or Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. This guy did a good job at 24 years old. Way better than I ever could. Wow, man. This is a good game. It's a good video game.
To me, Metal Gear feels kind of like just a platformer like Mega Man or Mega Man X, in that Mega Man X kind of does the same thing, where it teaches you where enemies are and what kind of movements you need to make. In this game, it seems like if you make all the perfect movements, you can 100% the game without any problem whatsoever if you make all the perfect movements. And some of those movements are actually no movement at all. So in a way, it's different. It's different from Mega Man in that way, but it's also very similar to platformers, I think. So the next one is tell me about Shoot Gunner.
Okay, so
who's Shoot Gunner? Why is his name Shoot Gunner? He's right here on the thing. His name's Shoot Gunner.
Pull him up.
Yeah, tell me about
Shoot
Shoot
gunner.
Gunner.
Okay, that screenshot. Okay, so when I take screenshots, unfortunately, what's really crazy is like every time I take screenshots,
Mm-hmm.
like I always am thinking about your FF12 article because like that's like the most like video game article while still being like decently well written compared to like IGN garbage. But you do a great job of showing like what the gameplay is. So like a
Right.
lot of times I take images because I want to like I have tons of videos I took for this that I just didn't use. Like I need
Yeah.
to do like a maybe we need to do like a B-roll or something like for some of these articles, like a section on the site. But like because I use hardly none of my screenshots. So my screenshots one are for like interesting things that happen or videos of like some of we talk about this later, like the bosses and crap. Um, but some of them are just because of the laws, right? So this is Shoot Gunner. Obviously, I don't know why it's called that. Because of mistranslation into English from Japanese. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I took that picture to for people to laugh because Shoot Gunner is ridiculous. This boss, I don't remember that much, right? I think he just shoots. I think he shoots with his gun. I think he's the first and second boss.
Yeah, we saw him in the footage
He's
already. Yeah.
yeah, he shoots. And right now I see the flying robots. Like this game is science fiction as f. Even in '87, I think Kojima knew where he's gonna go. But and then so yeah, the bosses like. Is this a part where I talk about the bosses, or is that the question later where I talk about where you can't like you can beat you can like there's always a safe space? Do I need to go into that now, or should I save that for later? I can't
You
remember.
can bring that up. It's your party, buddy. But I was going to ask you about the bosses. But I think I want to
Your
add
questions
flair
are
here.
good.
I want to add flair
Yeah,
here
add
about
flair.
Shoot Gunner, and we talked about this already. But I believe Shoot Gunner is a precursor to Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid because both of them have a very similar backstory. Ocelot is like a Spetsnaz Russian Soviet Union like spy, and later on he becomes like a double agent and all this other weird, Kojima crap. But they're both like proficient with guns, very good with them. They're both Spetsnaz trained, Soviet guys. So I think Shoot Gunner is like the precursor to
Oh, you're absolutely
Ocelot.
right. Yeah, and even so, when I think about, and I need to play MG2. I've skipped MG2
Mm-hmm.
fans and went to MGS. So some people say MG2 relates to MGS a lot. So I can't confirm or deny that. But to confirm your theory, Shoot Gunner is early in MG1, and Ocelot is like the first boss, right? I think in MGS. I've beaten him. Like I'm on a tank now, which there's a tank. And also, there's a tank boss in MG.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. The Spetsnaz, I don't know if we've talked about this or maybe in Discord we did, but yeah, this being like a translate, it's a translate. It is as much as Link to the Past is Ocarina of Time, right? We're both big Zelda fans, so I think we can see that, right? Like, Ocarina of Time is a really good translation of Link to the Past, right? To a 3D threshold, I think. This might be a better translation. Like Metal Gear Solid might be a better translation of MG. Like this part that I'm looking at with the mines, I just did that in MGS.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's about to fight a tank pretty soon, I think, if
Yeah,
I
you
if I
fight the
remember, like
tank
in the
in
next like
MGS.
30
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah, it's like it is. It's so identical, and I just cannot comment on MG2 because I haven't played it more than 20 minutes. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the next question I have is an essay question. So I noticed a
Well,
lot of.
real quick, hold on a second. Sorry, I want to
Yeah,
shoot
go
it.
ahead.
Shoot gunner picture. I think fans will like this. Like you was the only fan. We're each other's.
Yeah, we're the only fan.
That's me learning how to use. God, was this one when I used Pixlr the whole time? I was with Pixlr's like Snap Tool and so PNG or Paint.net. Every one like GIMP, Paint.net, Pixlr, their lasso tools all operate slightly differently.
Mm-hmm.
This picture, the OJ shining through, I think it came out cool, but that was just me randomly trying to use the. It's just two images, right? It's OJ in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
courtroom.
I can see exactly what
And
happened here. You took the
yeah.
shoot gunner image, you used the lasso tool and cut pieces out of the shoot gunner image, and then had a layer behind it with the OJ, which it looks cool.
Yeah.
But it looks like it was done
I
in
think fans that
Paint.net.
don't
Maybe.
use it.
Yeah.
And that one might have been Paint.net. I still use Paint.net, but I've gotten Pixlr. I don't know. Paint.net's probably the best. Pixlr, I've had some better. Some of the stock, like even this, like it has the scan lines. That's Pixlr scan lines.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Paint.net is you have to like download all these add-ons and you have to look for them and find them to
Yeah.
like get it because
Oh, there's
out of the
add-ons. I'll get into the add-ons then. Yeah.
out of the box, like Paint.net is powerful, but like to do like some of this like add scan lines on shit, you probably need to download an add-on
Yeah.
for that.
Like Pixlr, you should try the free version, but Pixlr, I pay for it, but I canceled every other sub I have, like IRL, besides Amazon Prime, I think. And Pixlr is $2 a month for like unlimited saves. But even before I was paying for it, there's a light version, and you can just print screen and like save. So like
Yeah,
that's what I did in most of my earlier stuff.
nice.
But it's a good, like I can do everything. Well, I don't want to say everything, but I use it for the paint.net stuff now. I think a lot of these were only Pixlr, but that might be. But anyway, so like people that use Photoshop and stuff, they might like that. Like this picture looks kind of cool, but it's also just really lazy. But I like it.
So I noticed a lot of your essay chapter titles are, I think, from Dante's Inferno. Is that right?
Yeah.
Why? How is that relevant to to the article?
Oh, you're gonna love this. This is some fraud type shit. You're gonna love this, dude. So I originally the titles were just 95 or 1995 and then 2023 and then 1995. And that's all it was. And I was worried that felt too similar to Juno Part 3, Xenosaga 3. So and it felt kind of lazy. So I was like, you know what? Like I'm really good. I am as part of my occupation, like I think about creativity a lot. So like um I was like, what can I do to make that a little more interesting? So I was like, well, I did take Leviathan in the last essay,
Mm-hmm.
and that worked. And that was a little more pointed. This one was a little more lazy, I'll be honest. I went to Inferno. I can't remember why I went to Inferno. Maybe it'll come to me, and I'll interject and tell you. But I looked at the chapter titles for Inferno, and they were kind of cool. And
Yeah,
I just
they are.
went through them, and I was like, what can I loosely apply to things? And then kind of hide the fact that I'm doing the year thing again. But unlike Juno, I didn't do a bunch of years, and it's not about me. It's about me now. 2023, the 2023 suffixes. And let me pull up the essay because like I would like to explain at least one of them to like make it make sense for our like for our A tier. Most of our viewers are S tier, but for our A tier viewers, um,
That's
the
that's the
first
Dragon
one,
Bahamut. That's the other one.
yeah. So the Dark Wood
No,
on the Hill.
my bad. Sorry, no.
Sorry,
He's
what?
an S tier. He's an S tier. My bad. You said A tier. Sorry,
Uh,
I'm drunk. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
Sorry, so like the Darkwood in the Hill, like that sounds like maybe where OJ like killed his wife, right? And that's 1995. And then the second one,
Mm-hmm.
the spiritually neutral, that's like me like being frustrated. I don't know. I just wanted to sound cool. It's almost like I hated that question, but I wasn't. I was like, I had to prepare for this. Um, I'm
You,
looking at
you
the
you thought
souls
it
by
was
the shore.
cool. You thought using Dante's shit was cool and sounded smart. I get it. But you
Yeah,
tried
but
to
I did
relate it.
try.
You
Yeah.
tried to relate it to the essay title, which is fine. I mean, I do that all the time with stuff that
So
you
it's
know and
more
everything. So
aesthetic. And
yeah, it's
ultimately, it's just more
aesthetics.
like a painting than it is
Yeah.
like an argument, right?
So
And I think that's okay, right? My stuff is half argument, half like abstract painting, and that's
mhm.
what's cool about it. And yours too. So that's part of it. Yeah.
So do you see under Hideo Kojima on the stream? There's a painting there that I obscured a little bit. But that's a painting, and that's the souls by the shore of Archeon, I think Archeon or whatever.
Okay.
That's the actual
Okay. Yeah.
painting, which is a really cool painting. I don't know if you've seen it before, but like
No, I didn't
these.
know that was a painting. That's just one of the chapters. Like from the, I literally just looked at the names of the chapters, and that chapter sounded cool as f. So I was like, I'm gonna name a
Do you see
chapter
this
that. Which
painting that
one?
I'm sharing?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I see it.
So
It's an
I'm gonna
awesome
zoom
painting.
in
I
on it.
love
There's
that
one
painting.
dude. Like, look at this guy. He looks like a Final Fantasy Black Mage wizard. Do you see this guy?
Dude, and that reminds me of Seventh Seal a little bit. That's super cool. In Hermes, he's got the wings on his helmet.
Yeah, maybe
Like,
it is Hermes. Yeah, I don't know, but he looks kind of like magey. You know, it looks like he's got a staff and.
I've only ever read excerpts from Inferno. I have a copy of Inferno, probably in this general direction somewhere. Maybe I should read. We got to read Foster Wallace. I got to get into David Wallace, but I
Mr.
have Inferno,
Foss.
and Inferno sounds cool. So that painting, Souls by the Shore of Acron. Yeah, I thought the titles were cool, and the problem I ran into was a lot of the titles were like Dante, blah blah blah, Virgil, blah blah blah. And I didn't want to spoil it, right? I wanted to make it easy for those who had like read it or heard about it, but I didn't want to have too many with Virgil. So I did start to run out. And then I realized I was only looking at like the first third of the novel. So the plan right now is for Metal Gear Solid to do the same thing, but I'll probably change my mind, honestly. I'll probably change my mind.
So there's like a distinct lack of Metal Gear shit in the images, I think. There's a few images that have Metal Gear, like Shoot Gunner, and then there's like in the background there's some Metal Gear stuff. But the majority of the images are OJ related or ads with vague references to Metal Gear. Why is that? I think you already explained it.
Because honestly, I think to read about it, like OJ is more interesting to read about, but also I love that question, but I did run the numbers. 9 out of 13 images have Metal Gear in them.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, like, they're not the focus, though, right? So like, no, let's say this one right here, the one with the family in front of the computer. The only Metal Gear part about this is that you can vaguely see Metal Gear on the computer screen.
Hold on that one. Okay, let me explain that one. And like, I'm totally just probably bullshitting after the fact, but let me tell you, that one shows like that is like that like orgasmic moment of like completion when you get through a computer game challenge, right? That's the kid in the middle. It's also that 95 aesthetic, right? That I personally enjoy as a person who was born in the early 90s. It's also a lot of cool aesthetic. There's some of that pixeler, that red, green, yellow. You can alter all that. Pixeler is awesome. I want to plug it for $2 a month. It's really chill. But Paint.net bros could probably do better with more effort. And then OJ there, it symbolizes the family. Yeah, there's not a lot of Metal Gear there. Let me try to answer the question honestly without tricking. Because this essay is not about Metal Gear, right? We've talked about this. This essay is about...
hold on. I want to say about this image, this interesting image that you say it's about the orgasmic experience when you complete a computer game, yet she's just on the title screen. So, I mean, maybe you should have... maybe you should have superimposed something else there. But the family there celebrating her victory is very interesting to me because, I don't know, as a kid, you're sitting in your room in the dark at night. You know, you make a big video game achievement, like you beat Metal Gear, or you beat a hard boss in a video game, and it's just you. You're just sitting there. You're like, hell yeah, I beat the boss. And you kind of wish in the back of your mind that mom and dad come in and are like, you know what, son? Damn, you're good. You know, great job on that. But nobody, kid, boomer parents, they don't give a shit. They're like, get outside and stop playing the damn computer games. You know, they don't give a shit. Yep. Anyways, go on, keep going.
So I'll explain that, right? Do you see who is in between the lady and the girl? Do you see that man's face?
Yeah, I see his like wrinkly forehead. I think that's OJ, right?
That's OJ Simpson, right? His daughter never got to be celebrated by her parents. This is just a dream sequence, right? This image. It's meant to represent the dream sequence of like the childhood that so many of us, as you are saying, never got to have.
Yeah,
and that's
either voluntarily, honestly, because your parents sucked, or OJ killed your parents,
or because OJ killed you or your parents, and you're still alive upstairs sleeping, as in the true case. And honestly, the real truth behind the images is like I wanted to be more minimalistic. I wanted to explicate more than that because I have limited time because my son's getting. He only takes 1 nap a day now. I think you're probably taking a bunch or like at least 2. Mine only takes 1, so we're real busy. So I get limited time. So fans, we put a lot of love into this. We both are like busy. We're like freaking.
Yeah, it's crazy how much time we put into this shit because. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just amazed.
So these images, I made them quickly, and like I only put a couple elements, and I think they worked out, and I think I can justify them. Like that's
they worked well. I think I like them. I was saying, like kids. I don't know, to get off topic, but he only takes 1 nap a day. That's normal. I think like they're going to take 1 nap a day, and then when like
are you at 1 right now?
No, like he takes multiple naps a day. Yeah, because he's not even a year old. But Abby stopped taking naps at like 3. Like she was done taking naps completely.
Well,
like,
me too as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Some kids like I don't know. Like the parents will force them to take naps for a long time, but I don't know. It just wasn't realistic at a certain point. They just wouldn't go to sleep. So
no.
What can you do? You know.
I remember with me and with Thorny. I gotta send you some more of the videos, but he's reading now. But like I remember, my memories are coming back. You know, having a kid. And I remember being in daycare, like before preschool, so like 3-4 years old. And I remember nap time, all the other kids being asleep, and the lady would walk me over to like the library section, like this little book section, and I would sit there and read books, like easy, like BS books, like 3, 4 years old. And I think my son's inherited that, I think. And I don't know if that's a good thing. It's probably one of those quote unquote mental illness things that are actually superpowers. Um, but like, I don't know. I'm a little lost
True.
off it. But like, I think you and me are similar people. And I think our kids are going to be friends and similar people. But like, the one nap, yeah. And the nap's getting shorter. And like, he's just talking to me now, dude. Like, he's just having conversations. He's like, what color is that number? And I'm like, it's
Dad,
blue.
what is sex?
He hasn't done that one yet, but he does ask me, like, he did see something, and he's like, what? He's like, what's that animal? And he's not even 2 years old. And I was like, that's a beetle. And like every time it comes on TV now, he's like, beetles.
Can
I'm
I
like,
crush beetle? Can I eat it? No, son. You gotta teach your son not to kill animals. You gotta instill that.
Don't care. The teacher said.
I don't care. Tell him to kill
Anyway,
animals.
I don't want to get to questions.
It all
Where we
depends on
at?
your
Where we at
ethics.
with the questions?
I don't fucking know, dude. I'm wasted. I haven't been drinking like all week.
55.
I haven't been drinking like all weeks now. I'm just drinking on the weekends. So this is my first time drinking in a while. So I'm kind of like out of it.
Why are you not drinking in the week? Why are you not doing that?
Because drinking makes me stupid, dude. And I thought at first like it actually helped me writing. Because sometimes I had a few moments of brilliance on a few of my essays where I'd read over what I'd written sober, and then when I was drunk, I would like add something really cool and be like, "This is bass." I attributed that to the alcohol, but I don't think that's true because I've wrote I've wrote just as many cool things off of it. So I'm just like trying to find reasons to drink. Oh shit! Hold on. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Damn.
I drink to help me sleep. That's the only reason. It does not help writing. There are other things that help writing that I do not mention on stream. Never mention on the stream. If I did that, I don't have that now. That would help.
I don't.
But like, there are other things maybe I would stand up for. But drinking does not help my writing process. It does not at all. Maybe a little bit more apathetic because I believe in the rewrite more. Honestly, as a whatever my occupation is, and as a person that writes a lot, I think drinking doesn't help.
I don't think
maybe if I can just get something out and not care about the quality, and I can believe in the edit, but you have to edit.
Drinking doesn't help anything, I don't think, except help your mood and help you forget about stress in life. I think that's what drinking helps with, but it doesn't help with cognitive function. But it tricks you in your mind after the fact, tricks you into thinking it does help with cognitive function, but it doesn't. I think cigarettes cigarettes are really bad for you, so.
There are other things, and I don't want to say them out loud, but you could probably agree. There are other things that maybe would help you or me that maybe I've tried but would never admit to. That help me make like the weird like connections. Like I honestly think some substances might help a person in isolation and in theory understand that like OJ Simpson trial is Metal Gear, right?
Like the Clockwork Elves.
Yes, but not drinking. Drinking doesn't help me see the elves, but there are other things like that would help me, and not even see. There are other things that are like maybe even legal in Georgia, right? Like I don't do this even, but like Delta 8 or Delta 8 related things like help people.
I hate that shit. Gives me a headache. I don't do it.
Weed
also makes me suicidal unless I'm drinking while I'm doing it. So I don't.
Weed, I imagine I would never admit through experience, but weed could help me in theory with the OJ Simpson connection to Metal Gear. I think that does help. But alcohol, absolutely not. That alcohol, you're right. Everything you're saying about alcohol, that's right.
Yeah. So the next piece I want to get into is OJ. So OJ has been kind of the specter in this whole discussion and in the article. OJ comes full swing. He just comes out of the left field swinging. You immediately mention OJ. So we're getting into OJ a little bit late, although we've talked about him a little bit. So the OJ trial, as you can see, viewers, the OJ trial has been playing in full in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So yeah.
Awesome.
So it's been there. It's been here the whole time. In essence.
Like why?
Yeah, why? So really, the whole essay is kind of tying the OJ trial into Metal Gear, which we've talked about a little bit. So I want to go over the OJ trial, and I want to go over some just basics and just have a discussion about it. So Why do you think OJ killed Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend, quote unquote, Ronald Goldman? Why do you think he did it? Well, first of all, he was not guilty, right? So we don't know
Right.
he's by law maybe he didn't do
court.
it. He was guilty in
He
civil
is
court.
guilty in civil court, yes. But so why did he commit murder? I'll give you 2 reasons real quick. One, the reason I would say is that because he had an anger problem, had a lot of entitlement, and like couldn't handle rejection, like all that stuff, and like as a man child, he would say, and he did say in the book that he authored, it was because he thought his wife was like doing drugs in front of his children, and like thought she was like having orgies, and he still loved her, and in a fit of rage, he drove over there and like basically blacked out. That might even be the truth, dude. I think
Is
he's
that
a
in his
violent,
book?
like
Is that in his
sociopath.
book? I Did It, or like the cover
Yeah,
says I did it,
that's
but
what
it's
I read.
actually
I read that to you. Do you
yeah,
remember
you
that
did.
night? I
think,
read that.
Yeah, I think you did. Wait, what? No,
You didn't
hold
know
on.
what it was. You didn't know what it was. I didn't tell you what it was, but it was one night we did one of these, and we were prepping, and you're like, just talk. And I was doing research for the
Oh,
essay.
were
I
you?
didn't
Oh,
tell
I didn't
you.
know that. Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny.
and it was OJ talking about killing his wife. Yeah, I'm glad you remember that. And so yeah, basically he thought like a friend came over and was like, yeah, I heard Nicole was like having an orgy and the kids were like upstairs or some BS. And OJ basically like because he's a man child with probably a mental illness, quote unquote, like I think that might be the truth. He went over there and blacked out and he can't control his temper. And I think yeah, he's not a mature person, and I think that's why he would tell you. For me, it's the other reason, right? Like he can't control his temper and all that. He would say she was harming my kids and she was having orgies and like leaving them with questionable people. And he that might not even be true, but that's why I think in my research that's why he did that.
Yeah, I would agree that he. I think he was jealous and he thought that his ex girlfriend was his property, or his ex wife was his property, and she couldn't sleep with anybody else. And the moment he caught wind of that, he went into an enraged frenzy and went over there and killed her. That's what I think
In
happened.
the book, he says, I'm sorry, he says in the book, like even in the book when he says he blacks out, he doesn't even say he blacks out. He's like, and then he's like Nicole was slapping him, and then he saw Ron, and he's thinking about them like f wording each other, and then her, and then he's like, all of a sudden I'm standing there and it's quiet, and like there's
And they're
blood
dead.
everywhere. Like, yeah, that's why, and I think that's probably what it's like. You ask me a question later, it's coming, like, how did the person murder? That's probably part of it. But, like, yeah, continue.
I mean, that's my second question. Is also why do you think people murder, or how do they do it?
It would depend on the murder, but this one,
Yeah, it does
I think
depend.
you're, like, you talked about it, it's pure, like, jealousy. It's not, he's not a Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, OJ Simpson, like Bugliosi says, there's nothing interesting about this case other than the fact that like he got away with it because it's a
Yeah.
very clear cut case of like he has pure emotional control. He blacked out. He like lost mental function, and like I think yeah, he was angry there, and then 5 seconds later, like they were all dead. It was probably 20, 30 minutes, and it, like the pure adrenaline and craziness of like I just murdered the mother of my children and another man I've never met before. Like,
Yeah,
oh
that's
my god.
insane. I
Like,
wonder. I wonder if you're actually blacked out or like. I don't know. I've never done anything like this, so I never
no.
planned to do anything like this. So I just wonder, like, what you go through. Do you
And I
actually
think
black
he
out,
was.
or do you,
Yeah.
or after the fact, do you realize just what an atrocity you've done and like how screwed your life is now
It's the
that you've done
exact
this?
opposite. I think you'll like this. It's the exact opposite of being Solid Snake, right? Solid Snake cannot be OJ Simpson. Like OJ Simpson goes into the first screen, and OJ Simpson is just like, "Why are there people here? I have to kill them," and he dies, right? Like that's a horrible place to be. And I don't think I've done things that I've regretted. I've done things that I'm like, why the fuck? Like violence, like you and me fighting is one of them. I think this is
Yeah,
the
I mean
best video
everybody's
we've done
done
so
stuff
far.
they regret.
Yeah. And OJ, I think even I don't think he's the worst person to ever exist. Like OJ is just like stupid and is not emotionally mature and is a
Right.
murdering psychopath, right? And
Yeah.
deserve to be imprisoned. Which is why that story, like, I love the OJ trial. When I found out it happened in '95, it was like on site. I'm like, that's going to be part of the essay because it shouldn't be an interesting story. He should have went to jail immediately, but here we are talking about it like 20 years later, 30 years later almost.
So who are the major players in the OJ trial besides obviously like OJ himself?
So the major players, real quick, it's OJ, the people we killed, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ronald Goldman. It's the prosecution. I forget the old man's name. He's played by John Travolta in the wonderful little miniseries about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's Robert Kardashian. He's a minor player. He's Kim Kardashian's father. He is minor counsel to OJ Simpson. There's Johnny Cochran, who is the African American wonderful poet, major counsel, like main lawyer for OJ, and then there's Marsha Clark and Christopher Darden. Christopher Darden, also Darden's African American, so that's very important to the racial element of what we're about to go into. One of the two main lawyers was a black man, and he was great, but like, why was he scared? He can't be racist. Like, he's fine. But Darden and Marshall Clark, I see Clark right there. I think I'm a couple seconds behind, but Clark it zooms in on, and Darden is the tall, buzz cut African American gentleman that works with Marshall Clark throughout this trial. So he's probably been on here a lot. So those, I think, are the main players.
Gotcha. So you write that Clark and Dardson failed to learn the lessons of Metal Gear and a killer walked free. Let me find that. Failed to learn the lessons of Metal Gear and a killer walked free.
Walked free. Control F, walked free.
I got it, buddy. You're way behind. I immediately controlled that. Okay, don't patronize me.
I'm sorry. I forgot.
I'm just kidding.
It's up here.
Yeah.
If I'm looking this way, I'm behind, fans. All the fans.
Yeah.
If I'm looking this way, I'm behind. If I'm looking at you, this is live action.
Yeah. So you write that Clark and Darden failed to learn the lessons of Metal Gear and a killer walked free because of it. What lessons could they have learned from Snake or Metal Gear? And like ultimately, what do you mean by this?
So what I mean, and this, I don't even know if this comparison was good, but I think you thought it was good, so that made me, and I did. I don't want to talk about.
No, I thought it was terrible. I thought his whole essay was freaking terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So the lesson, so like racism, the race card. I'm a white person, quote unquote. People in the world would call me white. And I one of my jobs, I interact with people of every color, like a large percentage. Like white is equal to like every other color, and like, say the question one more time. I'm sorry, I'm getting to this like I've been drinking too much. What's the question one more time?
So you said that Clark and Darden failed to learn the lessons of Metal Gear and a killer walked free. Why?
So
what lessons?
So the race card. As a quote unquote white person, race card is scary. And like if racism gets brought up, I usually dial down whatever, like in my occupation, if racism gets brought up, whatever brought it up, I dial down because I'm not racist, right? So like I don't wanna mix up with someone like that less educated with me. So like I don't wanna like I'm not racist. So like if someone is thinking racism, I wanna dial it back. And that works in my job and that works with a lot of people. But like Christopher Darden is African American, so like when like they failed to learn the lessons when they were like me. Like as soon as racism got brought up, they're like, let's change the subject. But they need to be like Solid Snake. Solid Snake had no option, right? Like he had to deal with what he had. And so when Cochran said, so let me fill in the viewers on this. OJ should have gone to jail immediately. There's blood evidence. There's like motive. There's means. There's opportunity. Cochran is so cool. He's a bad lawyer, in my opinion. I think he's a bad lawyer that succeeded a couple of times. But Cochran, like before this, he had never done anything that great. And like so, Cochran, like he knows like OJ should be in jail.
Let me ask you. Hold on, before you go on.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I have a question for you because you keep saying it. You say you think Cochran was a bad lawyer. And you say you hadn't done anything good before this. There's a quote unquote good lawyer there's always a point in a good lawyer's life where they had not done anything good beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that? That's true for everyone, right? So why is he not a good lawyer? You keep saying he's not a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Why is he not a good lawyer?
A good lawyer. So in my opinion, and it's not even my opinion, right? Good, I might should throw out, but like I like a lawyer who like really takes the facts and really finds the truth. But if we wanted to find lawyer as someone who is like creative and cool, and like a later question I'm going to answer with Johnny Cochran, I like Johnny Cochran.
Sure,
I like him a lot.
The thing about the defense lawyer, though, is different than a prosecution lawyer. A prosecution lawyer should know the facts. A defense lawyer should know. Does
he do what he paid for? Well, yes, he does.
A defense lawyer should. Yes, a defense lawyer should know the facts as well. I agree with that, but they don't have to adhere to the facts as strictly as the prosecution would. A defense lawyer should ideally poke holes in the facts and then try to reveal, try to reveal possible holes in the story or the facts so that they can create a reasonable doubt, right? And I think that he did that. He did that successfully, right?
I concede. I will fucking very rarely give you this because I'm so competitive and fucking self-important. But, dude, I absolutely concede. I think Bugliosi was wrong about that, dude. Because Cochran is a fucking awesome defense lawyer. I think defense lawyer is a shitty job to have.
It is,
and you have to be kind of like...
But they choose it. They choose it.
To do it. They do choose it. So Cochran, he's a good defense lawyer. Like, I think the best lawyers are prosecution. But, like, he's a great defense lawyer, and I concede. Cochran did his job fantastically. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing. The defense lawyers are really weird because I was at the pool like 2 weeks ago when my dad came down to visit me. We always go to the pool on Jekyll, and we were at the bar, and there was like some guy my dad started talking to because I don't talk to people usually. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a defense lawyer," and I was like, "So what? You like get criminals off?" And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much." And I was like, okay, that's interesting. But, like...
That's a good job.
Defense lawyers are interesting. And he told me when I was talking to him, he was like, a lot of people put it down, but, our Constitution is written in a way where somebody needs me. Like, they have to have me. Like, you can't have...
people have gone to jail.
So exactly. Yeah, there are innocent people who have been tried. That absolutely happens all the time. So you need defense lawyers. You need people who are willing to poke holes in the truth maybe and take liberties where it's necessary, but it is unfortunate when a defense lawyer, I don't even know how this works because I'm not in the industry of being a lawyer, but like would a defense lawyer take a case knowing that somebody's guilty? Like they would have to, right?
That shows that Cochran had to know. He had to know that OJ did this.
So he's like, how do I get this guilty motherfucker off?
That's all he's thinking about. So like, he's a bad person. He's a great lawyer. I
don't know if he's even a bad person though.
No, because like Darden and Clark sucked. Darden and Clark should have been better. That's true. They sucked. And Bugliosi does say, I'm biased because Bugliosi also... Okay, let me tell the fans, the one fan watching, probably me. Vincent Bugliosi, the guy that wrote the book that I read about this case, he was the lawyer that put Charles Manson away. And, like, I like him and respect him because I read him when I was younger, when I was, like, in 8th or 9th grade. I read Helter Skelter. And he's a smart guy. He didn't want to write about this, but he said this case is only interesting because he got away with it.
Right.
Because it was so obvious he did it. And he said that Cochran was a bad lawyer, but he is like, Vincent Bugliosi is like a prideful, like, I have values and virtues type guy.
Right.
So he thinks Cochran should have had values and virtues. But if we want to throw values and virtues out the window, like, yeah, dude, Cochran is good. Cochran is good.
Yeah, what he would have wanted, I think, Cochran to do is been like, you know what? OJ's guilty. We're going to take a deal or we're going to, like, argue down from, like, whatever it is. But we're going to accept the guilt on some level. But he didn't. He was just like, nah, he's not guilty.
Cochran brought gloves and, like, tried to make up a
he didn't even do it. He wasn't even there.
He's like, no, he was framed. He was framed. Like, Johnny Cochran is literally the only reason.
Like, it's so crazy.
OJ didn't do it. The guy that did it is still free. Like, no one got prosecuted. So Cochran, like, literally said that the Los Angeles Police Department killed Nicole Simpson. And because of that, like 12 people or however many people on the jury were like, yeah, like Cochran's right. OJ is the victim. And
Yeah.
OJ is so obviously not a victim. He's like one of the dumbest people on earth, like ever. And
Yeah, he
he
is.
got away with it. And it's crazy. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is.
this case. It's super interesting.
It is interesting. So the next one you have is the next question I have is you compare at the end of the essay. Let me. It's actually at the very end. Um, hold on. Let me tell you a lot of the times when you release an essay. Hold on. Um, I think it's literally at the very end. A lot of times when you release an essay, it takes me a long time to read the full essay because I don't know. Sometimes there's a level. No offense, but there's a level of intellectualism or pretension that I have to take my time to go through. But with this essay, I found that there was an unbelievably brilliant balance of your intellect coming through without beating people over the head with it. I thought it was done very well. And in my opinion, I think
I
this
love
is
that question. Yeah, keep going.
it's not a question, it's a statement. This is a
Yeah.
statement. No, I just think this is
Yes,
this is
sir.
a very good essay. I think it's very good.
Thank you.
And I
I'm
think
glad
it's
you like it. Keep
yeah,
going.
I think it's less intimidating than your other stuff. Like it was fun to read, but it was also intelligent, and your intelligence came out, and your schooling came out in certain areas. But you didn't make it seem like, you know what, this is my background, and I'm brilliant at this, and I know all this, and I'm just going to throw this in your face. You just brought it up once in a while, casually, like you knew what the fuck you were talking about, and it came up just brilliantly. I thought it was I thought this was a really good essay, and I really enjoyed reading it.
Oh.
That's just my.
Oh.
And I'm never this.
You never do this, dude.
I never do this. So this was a good essay. I really liked it.
Oh my god, I love this question. So let
This
me
isn't
tell
a question.
you. Oh my god. No, but I gotta respond to it because, dude, thank you. First off,
Yeah.
absolutely thank you. I feel like I tried hardest with FF16, but this one, how I wrote it. If you're curious, how I wrote it, because you remember we talked about it. I was like, this is gonna be my worst one. And I
Yeah, you
love that
kept saying that all the time.
It seems like you think it's my best one. It seems
I
like
don't
you
know
think
if it's
one
your
of my
best one. It's just your
And-
most. It's your most accessible one. I don't know if it's your best one. I wouldn't
Dude,
say that.
I might do this in the future, but what I did was because I know so much about the OJ case and I like the OJ case. So
Yeah.
my notes, instead of trying to rearrange my notes or do anything weird,
Mhm.
I would write. You might notice, okay, before, if you check any of my other essays, every chapter averages about 1,000 words, give or take. This one, there's some short ones. There's some
there's
long ones,
a paragraph. There's
big,
two
small.
paragraph ones. Yeah, and I like that actually.
Yeah.
And I thought I've barely started on my Armored Core essay, and I'm trying to really put a lot of thought into it. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my head about that essay. But I thought, looking at this one, I was like, this is interesting how you have you have some chapters that are just a paragraph or two, and they're very short. And I was thinking to myself, why don't I ever do that? For some reason, I put a limitation in my head that each section had to be really long. But I'm realizing that doesn't need to be the case. Why would that even need to be the case? It doesn't make sense, So I think I'm going to incorporate that going forward because I think it's good. And I think, where is it? Let's see. Your essay right here is a short one. You have an image, but there's also a very short one. Where is it?
It was two back to back. It was that one, and I had a meaning, right? It's like when checking the trucks, right?
Like this one right here.
Checking the trucks.
You actually
I go
put an
first person
expletive.
will snake.
You say fuck in this one.
I do the triple swords. Yeah.
This one's 4 paragraphs.
That happened.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that happened, dude. And so so the way I wrote this was I looked at my notes, and so since I knew, eventually when I finally got to start the essay, I was like, okay, so I'm looking at my notes, which are all about Metal Gear, and I took no notes on OJ Simpson. So I would look at my notes and just write about my notes. And then when I felt like I needed to bring OJ in, I would go back to 1995, right? And I was like, okay, let me bring in what I already know about 1995. And I just literally, this one was probably my least prepared for. I thought, if you look at my notes, I need to give them to you because, I have them not color coded, but I have little codes in there to reorganize themes, but I used none of it in the end result. But this one, the other thing I did with this
I
one
do that a lot with
I
my
gotta do,
notes too, to be honest, where I type a lot and then I never use them. So
yeah, and
that
I never,
happens here.
and as we mentioned, like my images.
Mm-hmm.
This one I did write fast, and then I forced my because you know what my job is. I don't do this in real life. I've never done this for OCG before. Every other OCG essay I wrote, I would do a paragraph. I'd revise the paragraph. I'd do the next paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
revise the paragraph, and it was like obnoxious and like annoying. This one, I wrote a really bad one in like 2 or 3 days, and then I spent the next 7 to 10 to 15, however long, just working
Making
on
it
the
good,
second
yeah.
one. Yeah, and then I published it, and I thought I hated it, but after I published it, I was like, "Wow, that's not amazing." Like, right? It's not David Foster Wallace. It's not that. It's
Well,
like
I mean, that's an
20%.
extremely high bar. I
DFW.
mean, I don't think either of us are ever going to
Yeah,
write something like David Foster Wallace
probably
writes.
never. Probably never.
Right,
Yeah,
that'd be like a
but
dream.
let's try.
I mean, we can try,
Let's
yeah,
try.
absolutely,
Let's
but
try.
yeah, comparing yourself on like
But
to
that's my.
that.
But I bet he does several rewrites. I bet. I don't know if you rewrite. I never rewrite hardly. Like a little bit before, as I publish, I rewrite a little bit. But
Mhm.
before, like this one, I wrote the whole thing and then wrote it one more time. So 2 drafts. I took the lawyer's advice.
Yeah,
David
so
Foster Wallace. I wouldn't be just surprised if he did 8 or 9 or 10 rewrites. What if we do that? I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. So I've read things about David Foster Wallace where he would say he wouldn't like reread the stuff that he wrote. Um, I don't. I really don't know. I haven't done enough research. But the way that I write is I'll write a paragraph or I'll write a full chapter, um, and then I will. To be honest, I actually use. Sometimes I'll use ChatGPT to correct grammar. But that's
That's
the
totally fine. I've never
that's
done
the
that, but that's totally
that's the
fine.
extent that I use ChatGPT for.
Yeah.
I have in the past tried to use ChatGPT to like give me an idea, but it never worked because it always was
Right.
it was just very robotic and stupid sounding. So I
Yeah.
never used it. So I'll run like certain things that I don't think sound right through ChatGPT, and I'll say like, "Can you reword this?" or "Can you like make this more coherent?" or like
Yeah.
basic stuff like, "Can you just correct the grammar
Cool.
and change nothing?" Like change nothing, just correct the grammar because I think I fucked
Yeah.
something up here.
Does that
So
help? I've never done that. Does that help?
it helps. Yeah, for grammar it definitely helps.
I
For
just
the
don't do that,
rewording
yeah.
thing, it usually doesn't help. No,
Okay.
no. But for grammar, it's a very good grammar checker. It's better than Word probably.
That's so weird. It feels like you use I use ChatGPT with Xenosaga 2 a lot. To like tell me like, do you understand this? And I just used it to gas me up. I've never used it to
Oh
like
really?
correct anything.
No, I use it
But like it would
solely
be
to
like,
correct grammar. Like I will
it's
literally
funny we use it oppositely. Yeah.
no, and I'll do things like I'll take a paragraph that I wrote with a bunch of semicolons because I really like semicolons for some reason. I love to use them. So I'll put it into ChatGPT, and I learned early on that if I say, "Hey, correct the grammar in this," and I shoot it in there, it'll correct all the semicolons. It'll be like, "We don't like these semicolons." It'll turn them to periods or commas. So my prompt now is a lot of times it's like, "Please correct the grammar here, change nothing, and keep all the semicolons." And it'll like correct the grammar that's appropriate, but it'll keep like the exact same formatting that I wanted. So
Are you
yeah,
using free GPT? You're not
yeah, I
paying
use
for
free
it?
GPT. I don't think
Okay,
grammar
so I
checking.
stopped paying for it.
I don't
Yeah,
think you
that's
need
cool.
to.
I need to get back with it.
Yeah, I don't think for grammar checking you need to pay for ChatGPT. No.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah, I don't know if that makes me a fraud or whatever. I don't tell
No, it doesn't.
ChatGPT.
It doesn't.
I don't tell ChatGPT to write an essay for me and then copy and paste it. I just use it for
No,
grammar
you're a legitimate mind. You're a legitimate mind. I think that of you. Like I have only reason that I haven't used ChatGPT is because I thought you like thought more harshly of it, and so like I've like as a rule of thumb just I've stayed
Oh.
away from it.
No, I would.
Except for,
I
like,
think harshly of it in the fact that like if somebody uses it to just write a full essay, absolutely, I would say
Yeah,
that's
no,
fraud,
F
and I would
that.
say
I
that's
would never.
dumb. I would even say that if you got the
Yeah.
idea for the essay from ChatGPT, that was stupid.
Yeah, F that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see ChatGPT
No,
as
I
a
haven't
tool.
used ChatGPT in a long time.
I see
Cool,
it as
yeah.
a tool that helps you with maybe stuff that you're not the best at, like grammar. Grammar is just rules, right? If you want it to look okay grammatically, run it through
You look at the rules
ChatGPT.
like a referee.
Yeah, and then if you don't like how
He's the ref.
if you don't like how it comes out, you can say, okay, you can always tweak it afterwards. But if you do
It's a
grammar,
tool.
if you tell it, hey, take this, correct the grammar, don't change any of my wording, and keep my fucking semicolons, please, it'll give you like a pretty good thing where it'll just correct like the stuff that you might have missed. Like you just have to be kind of creative with the prompting. Because if you're not, it'll come back with like, it'll reword your entire paragraph and it'll be like, it'll add like regardless, comma, however, comma, you know, and all this other
And
like
it's so
very
formulaic.
robotic stuff.
So
you know?
formulaic, robot. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to be careful about it, and you have to tell it not to change your words. Like, do not change my words.
Yeah.
Just correct the grammar based on my words. Do not change anything. Because it's very frustrating when it tries to change your words and make it sound like a non-human is writing your garbage.
Oh, this guy, by the way, to get back to Metal Gear, I just
we've
saw
been
like
going off.
this
I'm
guy's
so sorry.
on his way.
I didn't mean to get off.
No,
on
you're
this
good.
yet.
You're good. No, I love the GPT stuff because like that's the way. Like when I was really, I haven't like used ChatGPT in a couple months, like 2 or 3. But when I was really into it, that's how I was using it. I was like, it is a useful tool. Like if you're smart about it, it can't provide you any like. It would never give me like Metal Gear is like OJ Simpson.
It would never tell you that. Yeah, it would
that.
literally never tell
It
you
would
that.
never tell you that. But it can correct my grammar. In my occupation, I tell my clients, I'm like, I'm bad at grammar. Like grammar is like stupid. It's just rules, and you can look rules up. That's fine. But like OJ Simpson is Metal Gear, you're not gonna get that from the rule book. Like you're not gonna get it. So ChatGPT, it's a great rule book, and I need to get back to more. I'm glad you're using it because I do think it's really cool. But it's not creative, right? It's not at all.
No, it's not
It
creative.
has a lot of identifiers. Yeah.
It's literally like Word. Like, you know, you use Word, you know.
But it's like a cool tool. It's a very cool tool.
It's a great tool. I really like it as a tool. So I think, let's get back on topic. You compared Solid Snake to Johnny Cochran several times, or at least at the very end you did. How is Solid Snake similar to Johnny Cochran? And then how are they different? And I have to go to the bathroom, but I can still hear you, so just answer the question.
Go ahead.
Answer the question.
Solid Snake, he's like Johnny Cochran because Johnny Cochran had an impossible task. Johnny Cochran had to like liberate like this African American male who was on like paper, like had domestic violence issues, and his wife was dead, and his blood was at the scene, and people knew that he didn't like his wife, and he had a cut on his hand, and the blood of him was found in his car, and he ran from the police. It's an impossible task. So Johnny Cochran had an impossible task. I don't think
off a murderer,
ethically,
who was obviously guilty.
like very obviously guilty, like scientifically, logically, like this guy, like even after the thing, like with the "If I Did It" book, like this guy's guilty. It's impossible. And like this is the guy, like, and in Solid Snake, he's like day 2 on the job. I don't know exactly; they don't tell you, but he's a rookie. And he should
later on you find out he's like a clone and like a brilliant genius and all this other dumb crap, but whatever.
Yeah,
keep going.
But in Metal Gear, he's a guy, he should not be able to win this case. Right. Like Solid Snake should die. You start the game with nothing but a punch and a pack of cigarettes. Like you're dead in the water.
True.
But they here I am, this happened in 1995, here it is 2023. And I'm still talking about it. You know, this game came out in 1987 in Japan. I'm in America. I'm in Florida right now. And here I am talking about it.
Isn't it so crazy how this is released in Japan? Like, a lot of these games that you think, you know, this is a very American game. It's maybe not gameplay-wise, but aesthetically and thematically. It's a very American game based on American movies because 70% of his body is made of movies.
Yeah.
But it came out in Japan, so that's cool.
Even right now, I know exactly. He has the dive suit. We're close to the end of the game right now. He's the dive suit. He had to go back to building 2 to get the card key 8.
We started from the beginning. This is a full like speed run, like.
Oh, it's a speed run. Okay.
Legit speed run.
Nice.
Like, playing the game for real, yeah.
And I played it. I started the game over. Like the first time I played the game, it took probably like 10 or 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't beaten it a second time, but I could probably beat it a second time in like 1 or 2 days. Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool thing about it is that like once you know, like it takes forever to slow down and figure it out. But once you figure it out, like you know.
And that's crazy because like almost I want to say almost all the games except 5 are like this. 4, I really need to play 4 again, and I would really be interested to play 4 again because I barely remember anything about 4. When I played 4, I think it was when we were living together. And I had it on the PS3, and I remember the long load times. I had to like download like every chapter, and it was like a 30-minute
Yeah,
thing. I
yeah.
would go smoke like 6 cigarettes and come back, and it'd be done. But I don't remember much about that game. I don't remember the sneaking sections. I remember one part where you're in a suit in a city, and you're like sneaking through that. Do you remember that? Like,
Yeah, I remember the city. I don't remember the
yeah,
suit, but I remember the city. It was raining, maybe? Was it
yeah.
raining?
It's like
Or
a
like
weird
wet?
city
It was
environment.
wet.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
don't remember the battle. I don't know why, but
I
I remember
remember
doing it.
Raiden being really cool. I remember there was a scene in there where you were playing as Metal Gear or Snake, but there was all like during the gameplay it like cut like cinematically with Raiden fighting like at a cutscene while you're playing. Do you remember that?
I feel like that. I feel like I remember that. It's been God. That's like almost 15 years ago. That's a
Yeah, it was a
long
long
time.
time ago, but that's a cool game cinematically. But I remember there was only like 2 hours of gameplay in that game. I don't remember where I'm getting off on this, but I think what I was trying to say is that you said you could beat this game in maybe like a day. I think all Metal Gear games are like that, where if you know how to play the game, like you can beat it in a day. Even Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, I think you can do it that way. 3,
Yeah, I feel like
probably you
that.
could do
Yeah.
it in 3 as well. 4, I'm unsure about, and 5, you definitely can't, because 5's like a different type of game. But I like 5 too, but it's whatever. Next question is, which character in either the OJ trial or Metal Gear are you like the most? You personally.
So I've thought about this because you sent me these questions earlier. I think, and I'm curious to know what you think. For me, I think I'm most like Johnny Cochran. I'll tell you why.
The Snake?
Um, I want to be Snake. I feel like Snake is the goaded one, but me personally, if you think I'm Snake, that's gonna really gas me up. But like, I wish I was. But like Cochran, I'm really good at taking an easy way out. Like I can come up with something theatrical. I think really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes, like Cochran, I bet that doesn't work all the time. But for me, sometimes I think I could be like, I'm not afraid in my like 30s now. I'm not afraid to be kind of weird and crazy. Snake, Snake and Cochrane share a similar role, but they're not the same kind of people. Snake, I think, is virtuous. Cochrane is kind of just kind of seedy and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
greasy, I think. Um, and I'm greasy sometimes. I don't want to be, but I'm sure in my life I've done the wrong thing. Like I've done a loved one wrong, or I've done a girlfriend wrong, or whatever wrong. You and me, we've talked about this like thrice now. Like you and me, we fought each other like 10 years ago. Like people I
Mm-hmm.
love that I care about, I've done wrong because I'm a little nasty and I'm a little like I don't know. Like I get caught up in his theatrics sometimes, and I think I identify with Cochran. He's a piece of shit that is kind of valuable and can like kind of do some good in the world sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the person I see myself most. I'm a Vegeta, right? Like I see myself as a Vegeta, and it means a lot that maybe other people don't see me as a Vegeta. Hopefully, but like
Yeah, I wouldn't say they do.
I'm a thank you. Like but I do see myself as a piece of shit that does right every now and then. And I think Cochran might be a piece of shit that does every now and then. And he can be creative and he's not afraid to like to be silly or weird with the poems to like try to do his job right. I can be silly in my day to day life and I can have fun and do that kind of stuff. So that's my answer to that question.
Gotcha, gotcha. Hold on.
Hold on. I think you like that one. I think
I've been
it's a
very into
good
this
answer.
band called the Cribs lately.
Hmm.
They have this song called I'm a Realist." Uh,
Okay.
it's the lyrics
He's
are
fighting Metal Gear right now. They're fighting Metal Gear. Whoever, whatever we're watching.
Anyways, the lyrics are I'm a realist, I'm a romantic, I'm indecisive, or I'm an indecisive piece of shit. It just reminded me of what you said. You're a
Okay,
piece of
yeah,
shit.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, this song is a little different, so yeah, whatever. So the next one is I'm drunk as fuck right now. So the essay this
know.
essay deals in the reals more than your other essays. Your other essays are laden with philosophical garbage and bullshit. Why did you move away from that in this one and decide to deal in the reals in Retro Arcadia? This is a retro game.
Out.
What?
I gotta figure that out because like this one I don't know, I low key feel like this is the one you like the most. So like I don't know what I did well. I'm gonna have to relook at this. My two favorites so far were this one after rereading it and FF16. Like obviously
Yeah,
Xeno
is
1
good.
is like really pretentious, but this one like I don't know. I just decided to not worry about it. And the same thing like while playing the game, right? Like while playing the game, I'm like, I died 10 times in a row. I'm not a piece of shit because I died 10 times in a row. Like I suck at this part of the game, and who fucking cares? This is a cool game. Not many people have played this one. Like I think it's really cool. Um so why did this one deal in the real more? I don't know, because I'm trying to deal in the real more. No, I gotta plug my headphones in. You keep going. One of my headphones died, but I'm gonna transition quickly. So you
Okay.
go.
The next question is next caller. Bitch, I'm God.
Bitch, I'm gone. I'm flowing from the Survivor
I'm
Scrolls.
preaching straight from the survival scrolls. All right, we're getting near the end. Are you happy with how this essay turned out? Question mark. Because early on you were very unhappy and you thought this was a really bad essay.
Okay, so I love this question. I like this one. I looked at all these questions earlier, so I think I prepared well. Um, I love it right now in this moment more than when I said that. When I was writing it, I was like, okay, I like Xenosaga 1 because we've talked about it now, like the David Foster Wallace, like maybe I could have done like 2 sets of footnotes. It could have been like a book. Like that could have been cool. In Xenosaga 2, that was fun to talk about because or whatever, watch the video, I'm a little drunk, I can't talk about it. And Xenosaga 3 we haven't mentioned yet. I don't know. I just thought like FF16. I liked that one a lot. I am really proud of FF16, especially the first half, like not the stupid half with all the dashes. And Foster Wallace is smart, so when you brought that one in, like I kind of added that to this one. I don't know. I didn't like it at first because I was like I didn't feel confident in like the message. I was like, will other people understand that like I don't know. Is it cool? Is it cool like bringing the OJ, or is it because okay in FF16 the bones are their money. That's what I tried to do the same thing with. And this one I feel like I did it, but a little bit better. But I didn't quite feel it when I was writing it. So that's probably why. That's probably why. To answer your question, that's why. The bones
Well,
are their money. With FF16, I tried to do the same thing, but this one, I guess it made more sense. Maybe I did okay, but I don't know. I didn't like it when I
well,
was
with
writing.
the bones of their money, that was literally like 2 or 3 paragraphs, and in this one, it's the entire essay. So it's a bit different in that respect, right?
Right?
I would
Yeah.
say the bones of their money. I don't know. What was I gonna say? Shit,
No,
I
that's it.
completely
I think
forgot.
you're right. Like I did the whole essay. The bones are their
I think if
money.
you
I
did the
look
whole
at the first
essay
half.
of Final Fantasy 16 as bones of their money, I don't think would have been as successful. I don't think that's as strong as a comparison as
No.
this was.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this in mind. Like I like that you liked it. Like even talking about it is like okay, the things that I maybe was insecure about were actually okay. Because a lot of it, like to go back to the Xeno 1 article, like it's like who's gonna be able to understand this? You know, like a part of it is me masturbating and like trying to be like I'm so smart. But I also like I want other people to read it and also feel so smart. I want you to feel good reading it, and I'm not trying to be better than other people. I just want other people to feel good. And if this one did it, then this is the one that I need to look at the most. I think.
I don't think this one does that. I think this one, what it does is it tells a coherent comparison in your experience with the game and compares it with OJ, and it doesn't do it in a way that's confusing or I don't know, Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't say this is your best. I don't know what your best is, and I'm not the one to judge what best is. You're the one who has to judge that, because you probably have a favorite of my essays that you actually prefer to read other than the other
Which
ones.
one? Which one is your favorite of mine? Which one is your favorite? And I'll tell you my favorite of yours.
No,
Because
I
I
like
have a
this
favorite.
one the best for sure. Yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My
Yeah.
favorite of yours is probably either I gotta think about it more because I've never asked myself this because I wouldn't. I don't ask myself. I don't judge your shit. I love you, so I don't judge your shit. It's good writing. But Pajama Sam was awesome.
Yeah.
Or probably you're gonna. This isn't gonna surprise you, but probably do you know what I'm gonna say? We've been talking about it a lot. Probably the fucking meat one. Probably Kill All Monsters. Kill All
I
Monsters is
think, in
really
my opinion, I
good.
really like Kill All Monsters. I
Kill
think
All
it's the
Monsters is
best
good.
one that
Yeah.
I've wrote. I think there's some like faltering, but I think
Yeah.
consistently it's probably the best one that I wrote. And I guess we'll talk about it tomorrow. I
Yeah.
don't think it's
It's a
great,
good one, though. I
but I
agree.
think it's good. And I think, I don't know. After I read that lobster article by what's his, I was like, holy shit! He wrote like an article like exactly like mine, way before mine, and he did it like much better than I did.
Huh.
Because at the end of mine, I try to make it seem like, you know what? I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. But if these things make you think, then you should think about it. Like these are big questions. Like why do we kill animals? Like that's a bad thing to do, right? And he just puts it so much better because he's not a vegan either. And he says at the very end, he's like, I'm not a vegan, but like the fact that we think about this shit and that this is happening gives you pause, and you should think about
Yeah.
it. And that's what I
You
tried to
should.
get through. And I think I did at the end. I just didn't do it as elegantly as he did because he's such a great writer. Um, but yeah. The next question
But dude,
is,
let's stop. We gotta fucking stop. Like, dude, that's David Foster Wallace. That's a guy that, like, any person that has a degree in English, they know that name. And
yeah.
the fact that you were just slightly off David Foster Wallace, dude, like, you need, like, you, like, that's,
And that,
you are
I don't
good
want to
at
toot
this.
my horn. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I didn't.
No,
I was not even into Foster Wallace when I wrote that
no,
article.
I know that.
Um,
Yeah,
but I think to me it's obvious. Like it's just an obvious comparison to make when you're just fucking up animals. Like I've always had this feeling that like eating animals and hurting animals is bad, and I just can't shake it. Like, and obviously he had that feeling too, and he had the same thoughts as I did, which made me have a kinship. After I read that lobster article, is like, yeah, me and Foster Wallace, we think very similarly. Like,
uh,
that's
Lava
why.
is cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know. I mean, I need to read more of him, but like it just makes so much fucking sense,
and it's so
and
cringe
like
because
pointing
like
out.
it sucks
No, you go
because
ahead.
like the meme about Foster Wallace is that like people like us will read Infinite Jest and think we're like the smartest people in the world. That's like the meme, and that's like the current thing that a lot of people think about David Foster Wallace is that he thought he was like the smartest thing in the world, like he was better than everybody else. But like when you actually read his stuff and you hear him talk, I don't get that impression about him
No,
at all. Um, I think people just have a hard time understanding it, or he like talks about stuff that makes people uncomfortable, like the animal thing, and they just don't want to deal with
no,
it, and they're just like,
no,
fuck
yeah,
it,
yeah,
yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I cut you
yeah,
off. Go
no,
ahead.
no. That's absolutely it. That's absolutely. It. I think it's a great way of wording it. I think that's the interest I've had like throughout my life, and because I've known about David Foster Wallace since probably it's 2023, so maybe 2015, 16. Like I can't remember where. I think I was in Florida when I found out about Infinite Jest, and like I bought the book and read a good bit about it because it sounded interesting. But I never made it far. And I think you understand as much about him as I do,
Yeah,
probably. I think for
yeah,
sure.
probably about the same. I haven't read any
About
of
the
his
same,
full
yeah.
novels or whatever or anything.
No, but I've read a little bit. I've spent a few hours reading his stuff, and like, yeah, the dude's not. He's not trying. Like, it was what I said to you about suicide, right? Like, he a dude that's trying to impress or like be more than what he is. He's not gonna kill himself. And this dude, like, he had some feelings, and he was like, even if there are problems with his writings, like, he was trying to be his legitimate self, and he was trying to figure out legitimately what is going on. Like
Yeah,
what is this? Like, even I'm eating this. Like, Dude, I talked to you earlier, I think in this same stream, maybe before we went live, like I want to buy beef heart from the freaking really
Yeah, you
cool
did.
like local
And I don't like that.
grocery store. I don't like it, but I'm also convinced that I'm not going to kill myself if I buy the beef heart, right? Because it's there already on sale. Um, but at the
Sure.
same time, like cows probably have feelings, right? Like
So did the
consider the
bovine.
octopus, consider the bovine, right? Consider the lobster,
Mhm.
consider it, like, and like and I didn't even read the essay, but like if he's talking about like people leaving the room because like they don't want to think about the lobster
Yeah,
like
that's one of the
freaking
points he
boiling to
makes, and
death.
that's
Like,
yeah, that's one of the things. Like when people boil lobsters, like a lot of chefs will put like the live lobster in a boiling pot, put the top over it, and then walk away so they don't hear like the screeching and like the clawing at the pot. And then they'll come back, and
yeah,
then he goes on and he says like some chefs will go a step further and just like stab the lobster in the head to kill it,
yeah,
but then boil it alive. But the article is so interesting because, and really we should talk about this in the other essay in tomorrow's. But like
yeah.
lobster is one of the only animals that we will take and boil alive, like in our kitchen and eat. And that's fucking weird, dude. That's so
Yeah.
weird. Like you don't take
And
like
you
a
okay?
kitchen and cut it
You're a
like yeah.
you're
You
a
don't
picky
take a
eater.
cow and kill it and then start making tacos out of it. Like there's something about lobsters that people are just okay with killing them, even though they don't want to be in boiled water.
Let me ask you. You're a picky eater. Have
Yeah.
you had lobster? Do you like
No, I've
lobster?
never had lobster. Actually, no, I've never had the inclination to eat it because I'm a picky eater. So no, I've never had it.
I've
Does
had
it
it
taste good?
maybe 3 times. Okay, I like shrimp, and I've had a lot of shrimp in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've had lobster maybe 5 times because I'm poor and I've had a poor heritage. But I have had lobster. And when I've had lobster, not that this matters. This is a cope. This is a big cope. But when I've had lobster, it's been like just a tail. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not. I've never boiled a lobster alive. In defense,
Are you
um,
gonna say it doesn't taste that great? It's just like a
no,
meme.
it's great. It's
Oh,
awesome. I like shrimp. So it's like a really, but you probably wouldn't because you're picky. I'm picky too, but you're pickier than me, I think maybe.
yeah.
But it's like shrimp, but it's a little more rich, and like you dip it in like melted butter, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like a really nice fleshy, like completely fucking horrible. I feel totally nasty even saying this, but like boil, like cooked like lobster tail, because I've only ever had tail. I've had crawfish. I've eaten like the head guts of a crawfish. I've done that, but of a lobster, I've never boiled a lobster alive or eaten the claws or anything. But I've had lobster tail, and lobster tail, yeah, like it tastes good as like whatever you think tastes good, right? Like the way like Kraft mac and cheese. Or like a really perfect breadstick with the perfect marinara sauce. It's good. It does taste good, but like I've never boiled one alive, so there is a way to get the tail, I guess, because I've cooked the tail. But
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean,
know that usually they do it with it like alive. I know they do that,
that makes sense. I mean, the thing about it is,
but it's stupid. Yeah,
the thing about it is like, I don't know. I'm fucking drunk, but when you have a lobster, there's a difference between buying chicken nuggets and eating them and legitimately taking the chicken and then cutting its head off and then making chicken nuggets out of it in your kitchen. There's a big difference. A lot of people will just buy lobster and then literally throw it into a boiling pot alive
yeah.
and then eat it afterwards. And
But I don't know. I don't know if there's a difference other than we got to talk about. We got to get back to Metal
we
Gear
can.
because I
This is
don't want to.
we
This
have to
is
get back to it
tomorrow.
because this is for
This is
tomorrow. Really,
tomorrow.
we
This
should
is
let's cut this
tomorrow.
off.
You
Let's cut
know.
this off right now. We got two
Cut
more
it.
questions.
Let's just cut it.
Let's cut
I
it off right
love it.
now.
You know. You know. I know it. You know. I
Yeah, but
love
let's
it.
cut it
You know.
off.
I
So
know it. It's
we're
tomorrow.
near the essay. How did it turn out? I think you've liked it. So I have two more questions. So final game questions. Is this a good game? Do you like quote unquote good? Is it a good game? Does it deserve to go into retro
Okay.
Arcadia?
If
Which
you
is
like,
yeah.
no, go ahead. Which is what?
No, I think retro Arcadia should just be like what we consider like the heaven of video games going
I
forward.
love that idea. I'm gonna
Yeah.
call that Retro Arcadia. Does it for me? And
Yeah, is it a good game?
I'm assuming my watchers care about what I like, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So
They do.
like Metal Gear 1, 1987 for the Japanese MSX only is literally it's as good as A Link to the Past. It deserves to be as high up as A Link to the Past.
It came
It
out way
deserves to be
before A Link to the Past, didn't it?
yeah, it
Yeah.
did. I think like 6 or 7 years. It's as good as Symphony of the Night. It's a really good computer game. It makes you think. It can make you think about other things in your life, like obscure court cases, or really
Right.
popular court cases. Um, it's
True.
a, it's one of my favorite games. I think, like, if we're still doing OCG in 20 years, and we will be, um, if
We
you
should
ask me my
probably
top
both
five
have
games,
novels by that point. That's really what I want
I
to do
hope
is
so.
write a novel. But keep going. Sorry, I'm drunk. I mean, I will just rant
No, I
off
just
of
think
shit now and that I'm
we'll
drunk.
talk about
So
novels. Let's talk about novels. But like, I do think so. To end it, like, I think, like, if you ask me in 20 years, like, some of the best games, there's a good chance Metal Gear will come up. Like, it
yeah,
might not come up in the first 5 or 7 or 10 games, but like, it's a fucking awesome. Like, dude, me to you, like, what I know about you, like, I would never recommend Xenosaga to you. Like, maybe you play it on your own one day, but I know you, and I know, like, you're happy just to know about it. Like, you don't need to really play Xenosaga.
I'm not touching
But
Xenosaga like that.
yeah, I don't think you ever. I know you, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
But one day, if you have 3 to 5 days off, like maybe you would play Metal Gear 1, and I think you would like it. Like
No,
I'm
I
not
think I
telling
would
you
too.
to.
Yeah, I think I would
Yeah,
love Metal
it's
Gear
a
1.
good
Yeah.
game. It's a
So,
good like 2 or 3 game play. It's a fucking awesome game.
so when did Link to the Past came out in let's see. I love Zelda, by the way. So I don't think Zelda is
Yep.
particularly innovative, actually, but I think Zelda 1 is, but I don't think the rest of them are. So Zelda, uh, so A Link to the Past came out in Japan in November of '91, whereas Metal Gear came out in what '84.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, the MSX is a very
So
interesting
Metal Gear was
system.
87. It was 87.
It's still way before, but it's based off net. No, it's got to be based off.
It's a Commodore type thing. I don't know any shit. I don't know shit about the Commodore, but MSX. It's like it is the Commodore. I think it's the same company, or it's the same people, or it's something. Like it's
So
a fucking
Zelda came out
keyboardy
in
monitor.
'86. When did MGS come out?
87.
So
But
a year later.
MGS I think is better than Zelda because like MGS, there's an article I'm gonna talk about this. There's a chapter in my MGS article where I talk about how the logic doesn't carry you through. In Zelda, you can use like say arrows to kill enemies, and
Yep.
that's fine. But in Metal Gear, there's a part where like I said, right? Like the silencer. Like you would think, okay, if I'm using the silencer, people shouldn't hear me, and
Yep.
then you use it and people don't hear you, right? Or you use the parachute in places where the game does not mandate you to use it, and it works. And that's the part where the game convinces you that I'm not like witnessing Link's story. I am Link. I am Solid Snake. Like I am that person. So that's
Right.
my thoughts
One
on
of the
that.
things I think is very interesting about Metal Gear for the MSX is that I saw when I was watching the footage here that there are a few scenes of he goes into an elevator and it takes him into a 2D platformer kind of like side-scrolling perspective. You know what I'm talking about? So if you
Yes,
look
I
at my
do.
screen, if you look at my screen
I know
right now,
exactly what you mean.
if you look at my screen right now, I have Link's Awakening up, and Link's Awakening has
Oh
sections like
yeah,
this.
duh. Oh yeah, I know
But
exactly. I know.
Link's
Yeah, go.
Awakening came out way later than this game.
Wow, yeah, holy shit.
But Link's Awakening does have sections just like this that I saw in Metal Gear.
Dude, like Nintendo and Konami are like you and me, right? Like I totally get that shit. Like
They're just copied. They're
so
just like, that's cool. Let me use that. Yeah.
I'm gonna take it and I'm not like I didn't and I've played Link's Awakening. I've played the original Link's Awakening. It's one of my favorite Zeldas.
I love
And
Link's
I
Awakening.
played
Yeah.
have you played a Switch of Link's
No,
Awakening?
I haven't
That's
yet.
really good.
No,
It's
but
good. You got to, dude. You
I
have
got
to if
to.
you love maybe not got to, but like it's okay if you want to play Zelda. It's good. I played both, and I played the Link's Awakening Switch in like hero mode or whatever, like with the 3 hearts or 6 hearts. But
That's what you
answer
said
the
about
question,
Ocarina of Time, and then when I looked at the save file, you had like 6 hearts, buddy.
But it was.
Are you gonna cop up to that?
No, I
You
swear.
lied
No,
about the Ocarina of Time 3-heart run.
Never lie. I would never lie. I couldn't. No, I didn't lie. That's the confusion.
Okay.
But the point I'm getting at is that
Sorry, I didn't mean to accuse you. I
I
thought
don't
you
know.
said it
I
was
don't know
fun.
what the question was now. I don't know what the question. I've been
I just
drinking
think
too much wine.
I just think that later on, Link's Awakening added 2D side-scrolling sections to their game
so
when Metal Gear had done it before and was
did the
influenced
same
by
thing, like
yeah,
way
they're
before.
influenced by each other. Yeah.
No, that's 100% correct. I wish I had thought of that because, like, that's exactly. Yeah, you go 2D with the elevators, and in the second building, dude, the first building, you go elevator, you go up, you go down. Second building, one set of elevators only go up, the other set of elevators only go down. So like you end up making these weird like double passes like with the elevators. It's a it's a really fucking smart game. I love Metal Gear 1 is one of the best games ever made, I think, in my opinion. Um it because it doesn't like land all the moves that it takes, but it invents them. I can't imagine it is Mario. It's Mario, Zelda, and Metal Gear. It really needs to be because it's so fucking smart. It's a really cool like old video game. It's really cool.
Yeah, it looks great. Last question. I have the wording here. It's just you recommend question mark, but would you recommend this game to potential players? And I think you would, but would you recommend this game to? Let's say like my daughter. She's 10 years old. She plays Roblox, and she has a 10-year-old boyfriend named Gavin. Would you recommend that 10-year-old daughter Abby plays Metal Gear? That's the first question. Would you recommend 10-year-old Abby to play Metal Gear?
No.
Okay. Would you recommend like 10-year-old like me or you to play Metal Gear? People who are playing like games.
Yeah, because I wish like I played Metal Gear Solid 2 when I was 11 or 12 years old. My friend Emilio lent it to me. I took it home. My dad was either doing crack cocaine or playing Resident Evil because that's what my dad did. One of those two things. Um, I would recommend it in that like if it was me, if me and my dad had played this together, I think we would have beat it and it would be a great memory that I have. So I would. Um, like I would recommend it to anyone that wants to play video games seriously or computer games seriously. It's really like Kojima. I understand he respects gameplay, and he tries to relate the gameplay back to like the players' experiences and their expectations. And that's super cool. Uh, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like Metal Gear is probably a perfect game. To come out in 1987, I can fault it in a lot of ways, like with our current standards, but to come out back then, the only games that compare are probably Mario, maybe Zelda, maybe Sonic. Like Metal Gear is right there in 1987 being
Nice.
holy
I
fucking
agree.
shit, like one of the best games. It's an awesome game. It's
Yeah, you're probably
wow.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
One of the
I mean,
things I've noticed watching the footage is that there's a lot of rooms that have this like rolling pin. You know what I'm talking about? This
yeah, the
rolling.
rolling pin.
Is
Yeah,
that
it
a
will
common?
kill you instantly. He kills you. There's 2 or 3 rolling pins.
Oof. Big Boss
And
installed rolling pins into his. So
they will kill
bizarre.
you instantly. There was one part. Okay, so like in building 2,
Yeah.
like I would go around the same loops because rolling pin was really hard to dodge. But
Yeah.
finally, like at the end of the game, I figured out how to reverse engineer rolling pin, and it made the game
Nice.
a lot easier. But the rolling pins. Yeah, there's only maybe 3 of those in the whole game, but I remember that. Like I remember like
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of
I
it.
don't I love that about this game. Like there's a lot of old I've played a lot of old games and there's like shit I remember and I don't remember. Metal Gear I might remember Metal Gear until the day I die. It's a really fucking cool game. Awesome.
Nice. That was my last question. I think that was it.
And we
Really.
ran 2 hours. This is the longest one. We probably need to end it. This is the longest one.
It
we
is the
ever did.
longest one. We have a few seconds left before we hit 2 hours, but you have to get your questions to me about Dragon Quest, which I think will be the sequel to this one. Like
I'll do
the
that
actual,
tomorrow.
it'll be the
It's gonna be
actual
awesome.
sequel since we actually touched on some of the things. And I'll try not to drink as much during that one so I can answer the questions better. But if you could send me the questions as soon as possible, that'd be great. Next, I want to know about this burger, the McDonald's image. That's my last question. You have a McDonald's image? How is this related to Metal Gear?
This is my favorite image. I took the McDonald's go up. So I took the hamburger, and I took a picture of OJ and Nicole Brown,
Yep.
and it looked like blood and spatter. And I made that
True.
because every image, or almost every image in this article, was a 1995 advertisement. So it is a 1995 advertisement for a Burger King like McDouble or whatever it is, or Big Mac. It's probably Big Mac. 95. So when OJ
Are those
right
good? Have
before
you ever eaten anything like that? I've never eaten a burger before because I'm a picky eater, but are they
I
good?
like burgers. I've done a McDouble, but I'm picky. So when I get a burger, it's like
I've
they'll
always
put
found the
ketchup and
meat
lettuce.
is in patties is very chewy and gross. Is that that's
I'm
my
not as
impression.
picky as you. I'm really picky, but I'm not as picky as you. If I get a burger from McDonald's, it's only the meat and the cheese and like maybe bacon or something.
Mm.
But I don't like lettuce. I don't like the fucking the ketchup. I'm
The
not big on the
huge
ketchup
tomato
or the mayonnaise.
slice in this picture.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm very picky. I think you and me are very similar in that regard.
Yeah,
I think you are just like maybe 10% more picky than me.
yeah.
But I feel you on that. I don't eat Big Macs. I'll eat a hamburger though. I like hamburgers, but I don't do the Big Mac with the 2 slices. But anyway, the point of this image was OJ. He killed his wife. The red looked like blood. But in real life, before he killed his wife, he did go to McDonald's. Him and
Oh,
a
did he?
person. Yeah, him and the guy on the screen right now, Kato Kalin, the guy with the surfer hair.
Oh,
OJ
damn.
Simpson and Kato Kalin, they went to
That's why
McDonald's
we
and they
have
got
the
a
video.
hamburger. That's why. That's the real trial. This is 1995,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The same year that Solid Snake he infiltrated Outer Heaven. Um, but that's my favorite just because it looked kind of cool, really. But OJ, that looked like blood, and he went to McDonald's like 45 minutes before he killed his wife. He really did. That's not why I chose
Let
that.
me
I
just get a
figured that out after the fact.
quick McDouble before I just
Before
brutally
I do
murder my
that,
wife and her friend.
there he is, right there with his
Yep.
lawyers, and
That's
is zooming
Darden,
in.
right?
It's like I didn't. That's
Or Clark?
I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name, but he looks like that's great. This is a fucking awesome one.
Yeah, it was, and we're at 2 hours and 2 minutes, so we should probably cut it off.
We gotta cut this. You'll
I've
cut it
asked all
tomorrow.
the questions. I expect your questions to be just as thorough tomorrow for the Dragon Quest
It
one.
will. It's gonna be awesome.
But other than that, I think it was great for all of our viewers, which were literally zero. I hope you have a great day. If you watch this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, and then donate to my Patreon, which doesn't exist, and then also donate to me on Cash App, which also doesn't exist. So you have no way to pay me, and that's that's how we prefer it, because
don't give me money.
Fuck the fans. I'm so fucking drunk. I don't. You know, I only sing for money. I don't give a fuck about the fans.
About the fans. I only sing for money. I don't give a fuck about the fans. Yeah, I love the frogs. I love the frogs. I fucking love them.
But that's actually the opposite of what we do. I only sing for ourselves. We're very selfish writers in that way. And we also don't give a fuck about the fans. And we don't give a fuck about the money either, because we don't make no money off this, and we don't care to make any money off this. But we're drunk. We love anybody who watches this.
Let's end it. Let's end it. We're gonna do it tomorrow.
Fine. If you watch this, thank you. I appreciate it. Share with your friends or whatever. But have a good night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.